Converging is now the ultimate power in the universe.
Sharing the love, spreading the light in real time. Friday night love stream.
Very happy to have a guy we instantly resonated with. Unbiased and on the fence. I'm talking about Shane C. Robinson. And his purpose is to rise above the worldviews that are designed to separate us so we can unite as one.
Sometimes you have to sort of take a step back, and I think Unbiased and on the Fence is a really, really good title for your show, because you are in the central point when you're unbiased and on the fence. That's what it means. It doesn't mean you're indecisive. It means you are taking the central point and you're seeing the multiple perspectives.
Unbiased and on the fence.
If you haven't checked Unbiased on the Fence, go and check his channel out. You might like it.
This is Dan Holfeld from Talk is Cheap, and you're listening to Unbiased and on the Fence with Shane Robinson.
If this much sincerity enters your life, come to this much. What I know, I know. What I do not know, I do not know. I don't believe anything, I don't disbelieve anything. I'm willing to look at everything. You will become a sensible human being.
Have you checked out our website?
Visit us on the web at UOTF.net. You're listening to The Love Stream.
All around the world in real time.
This is Shane with Unbiased and On the Fence. You're listening to the Friday Night Love Stream.
Your calls, your stories, on air. You're listening to the Love Stream.
Sharing the love and spreading the light all around the world. This is Unbiased and On the Fence.
Unbiased and on the fence.
And we are taking calls on this wonderful Friday night. I misspoke earlier, which is no problem. Magic Sister put 333rd, and I assumed she was talking about this being the 333rd day of the year, but as I looked, it was only the 326th day of the year, which means for those who, and our guest earlier that I had on, Kimberly Lynn Hansen, those who were at the Mandela Effect conference can really appreciate this, but we just laughed because you know, she's got this saying, what's wrong is right. And it was a wonderful synchronicity because when I did the math on it, it was actually a week until the 333rd day of the year, which means that a week back from New Year's would be Christmas. So there you have it. Another wonderful synchronicity. I thought, oh man, I misspoke. It's not really the 333rd day of the year. I was kind of bummed. It wasn't as cool as I thought it was going to be. And then all of a sudden it was actually cooler than I could have ever imagined. Okay, so we are going to have the grand finale to this Mandela Effect, West Coast Mandela Effect conference. We never got to have our final Q&A panel discussion, but it just turns out that Universe was creating a wider audience that everybody can participate in. So we are going to be doing it this Sunday, November 24th at 11 Pacific time, 11 a.m. Pacific time, noon Mountain time, 1 p.m. Central time, or 2 p.m. Eastern time. And it's situated right in the middle of the day, so whether you're in the future in Australia, you can join early in the morning, or if you're actually in Europe, you can join in the early evening. So it's a time of the day that almost everybody can hop in. I will be simulcasting it right here on this channel, so you can hop in here and join in the chat, post any questions you have, or you can also join in if you are subscribed to Dark Wolf. He will be hosting it on his channel and taking questions there. So you can open both windows or just go over there if you're already subscribed. But if you're not, just so you don't miss it, I will have it here as well, and I will also have a link the day of, so you can hop over into his channel and subscribe if that's how it works out for you. So how's everybody doing tonight? I'm looking in the chat here. Lots of love and happy Friday to you guys. Really excited about tonight. Phone lines are open. Yeah, it looks like they updated the phone program, so hopefully it runs smoother. We'll just have to see about that. Let's see. All right, let's start with a little Wingmakers material. We'll wait for our first caller. Okay, so I want to post a few questions for you guys and see what you remember in the chat. First off, and I don't know how many of you guys will be familiar with the band The Pretty Reckless, but they have a song, House on Blank Hill. If you are familiar with that, and really only if you're familiar with that, can you please type in what you remember that song by The Pretty Reckless being? And there might even be a discrepancy of whether they had the word "the" in front, but I don't know. I'm not familiar enough to really say. But Micah across the pond brought up something else, and the 7 days of creation. And so I want to also pose this question to you, for all of you that went to Sunday school and you heard about the 7 days of creation. What order do you remember things being created on? Specifically, I don't want to give away too much, but there was just a question about when the sun was created in relationship to the vegetation and the animals. So type in how you remember. If you remember, if you don't know, that's fine. For me, I found it strange, but if I remembered right, it pulled from several sources. So, of course, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, and I thought the other, even though there was two different sources pulled from, so it appears that they go over the creation twice, if you guys know what I mean. Anybody who's read Genesis will know what I'm talking about. There is, it kind of goes over it, and then it goes over it again, and, but I thought the order was the same, but it does seem the order is different now. So we'll see what you guys remember. Let's see, what else did I have? I thought I had a, oh well. Okay, so we'll get back to some music and wait for a caller. This, of course, is the Wingmakers music. You can look it up on YouTube. Just type in Wingmakers music. And the selection I'm playing is chambers 1 through 9, because I'm able to play it without getting a copyright strike. So. like the phone lines are being left open for you. Yes, you. You know who I'm talking to. All right, we got our first caller, Jolie James. And you had a birthday recently. How was it?
It was good. Just normal. Like every day. I feel the same. I don't feel any older.
Yeah, the birthdays aren't what they were when we were kids, are they?
Oh, no.
They just kind of become a reminder that we're getting older, but that's okay. Older and wiser, right?
It was actually a pretty good birthday. One of my friends took me out to eat, and it was fun. I mean, I had a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Just better than the alternative of not having any more, I guess.
Yeah, not so much a bad thing, though, you know. I mean, when the body dies, we live on, so.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. Like, I've had a pretty cool thing happen the other night.
Yeah, let's hear about it.
Well, it was kind of like a dream. I don't really know. You know, I've been doing the sessions for a while, and sometimes I do. I don't know if you've ever seen the Crystalline River meditation, where you do the crystalline light through the chakras and down through does healing. It's a thing that it's been in the forum. I don't know. I've used it a few times in sessions, just when people have physical things going on. Well, I've been sick, and like I can't take antibiotics. I had just like a cold, which was fine. I didn't need any antibiotics, but it kind of moved to my chest, and I woke up in the morning and I was like, oh no. You know, oh God, I'm getting bronchitis and I can't take antibiotics. And I was like freaking out, thinking, oh my gosh. And so that night, like I had a fever, and I started just kind of like in my mind, kind of going through that script with the light, and I fell asleep. And I woke up, and this happened like 2 or 3 times. I was kind of like trying to do, I do that. I go to sleep every time I try to meditate or anything. I'm gone. So it's funny. But anyway, I kept waking up. But when I woke up the next morning, I felt a whole lot better, but I don't know if it was a dream or it was just almost like I had a conversation with my higher self, or something was going on, and it had to do with exit point. And it's really cool because like I had a wreck when I was 21. I had it could have been a pretty bad car wreck. This 18-wheeler, like an RC truck, but one of the big ones, just come through a red light with no brakes and just slammed into my rear quarter panel of my car and exploded all the windows. And I mean, I was fine. I actually saw it happen from outside the car. And when all these people start talking about these things, it's like at the moment of impact, I was watching this myself in the car. Like I saw it happen from outside the car. And back then, I always just thought, oh, well, that's just not my time to go. And I was supposed to see that from outside the car, so I'd know, that I wasn't supposed to go. But anyway.
Wow.
So the other night, I got to thinking about that. Like, I don't know. I was, like, kind of in and out. I kept waking up, burning up. I do like you. I do the whole hot flashes things all through the night.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been doing that for a long time. Like, I have reasons for it. But I had really never kind of connected it. But I kept doing that night. And I kept thinking, oh, well, my fever broke. And I would check my temperature, and I still had a temperature. So I was like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But after I woke up, I felt a whole lot better. And I remember thinking, it was almost like I had this conversation about this. And it was like, almost like I had the choice of staying or going. And then I remembered a dream I had about my dad, and I think I posted a video of part of a session where I talked about this. He was in this tank of water, and when I asked about it, my cousin did a session. She had seen the same thing, and she was in a coma years ago. Saw herself in a tank of water, and her higher self said, yeah, that's just sort of like an in-between state where you get to make a choice whether you stay or go. And I was like, well, that's pretty cool. Because in the dream, my dad was in this tank of water, and we had to call 911, and they said, there's nothing we can do. He's not, he's unresponsive, and he's not responding. There's nothing we can do. But I went in this room, and he was in this tank of water. There weren't any hoses or lines running to it. And he took my hand and started talking to me. And I was like, well, I thought they said he was unresponsive. So supposedly, this was like at a point in where he actually, even though not consciously, he actually chose to stay a little longer too. Anyway, it was pretty cool. Like I woke up from like this dream or whatever it was, where it was like I had a choice.
And you chose to come back.
I chose to stay and just see what happened. And it was a really weird feeling too for a few days, because I was like, I thought about the lady that was just on your show the other day. I now I'm thinking you've got all these people with 3 names.
Cynthia Sue Larson.
Yes. I thought about her, what happened with her, when she had pneumonia, and people remembered that she had died. But anyway, I thought about all of that. But it was pretty cool. Like I was in a really good mood that day. Because I was thinking, my whole life, I can remember, I always knew that this wasn't the first time I was here. And I always knew there was a better place. And I can remember even as a teenager, kind of like when I read the 3 Ways of All Tears, I was kind of like that. It was like I was ready to go back. I was ready to, I don't want to be here. And, when you read these books that say we chose our parents, which I was like, no freaking way. you know what I mean? Like, you're like, no, there's no way I would, And then, like, all these years and all these times, there's been so many other times when, in this little dream, I thought about it. And I thought, that all these times that, we don't consciously know we're doing it.
Yeah.
But, I wonder how many, hundreds of times you actually really do get that choice. But your higher self, your subconscious, knows what's going on, even though we're sitting here trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Figure out this whole man. It knows.
Yeah.
Right.
I totally
so
feel
it
like
felt
that.
really good. It felt really good because it was like I knew that, okay, well, my higher self knows.
Yeah.
Something good's coming. Something pretty cool is coming, and we don't want to miss it.
Yeah,
Even though
exactly.
consciously, you're thinking, God, this,
Well,
But anyway.
When I was
pretty cool.
talking to Kimberly Lynn Hansen earlier today and realizing that we can bring heaven on earth now and experience so many wonderful things right now. And it's just really amazing at all the different synchronicities. I really can't wait for her presentation to come out and really see how fun and magical and supernatural everything can become right now. And I know so many of us, coming off of the Dolores Cannon's 3 Waves of Volunteers, so many of us feel like this isn't our home and we want to leave, but we miss the big glaring obvious thing right in front of us, that we can create. We were born here, and this is our home in this life, and we can make it what we know it can be. And I think that's why we're here. We're here to make it into, instead of getting the heck out of here, we're here to transform this into something so beautiful that, you know, it's just beyond what we can imagine. Like Cynthia Sue Larson says, how good can it get? And I believe that's what we're here to do. And when we can start embodying that now, which we can, the transformation happens instantly, and it just spreads, you know. And when everybody else sees it, they're like, oh, wow, this can be like the coolest experience right now. I mean, we don't have to wait for any future time. And then it just spreads.
Just having that dream.
Yeah.
Just the dream. Like, I have had some really cool dreams in my life. That one was pretty cool. I mean, I've had some where I was moving things with my mind. I mean, I've had some really cool dreams. And that kind of stuff, you'll think, you know, where does that come from? Like, that's not a coincidence, you know, that you dream about that kind of stuff, dream about flying, to dream about, you know, I don't know. It's really cool. I think we get so bogged down with this conditioning or programming, or, you know, and there's so much stuff going on that we just have to pay a little bit more attention to this other part, you know, because it's not, you'll kind of get like, oh God, you know. But I mean, I'm not saying that at all. I mean, I'm saying I've been there many times, especially as a teenager. I've been there to where it's just like, God, I don't think I can do it. You know, but then, you know, like somebody said on Facebook, I can remember laying there having my kid going, I just don't think I can do this.
Yeah.
I'm like, how can you even say that now? There's no going back now.
Yeah.
You're in the middle of having a child. There's no way you can just choose that. Oh, I don't think I can do this.
Exactly.
Violet kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, here we are. We're right in the middle of it. So
yeah, trying to bring heaven to earth. Violet just put heaven on earth, and it just popped in my head Sherry's Mandela effect with Warrant the other day, where it says take you down to hell. Sounded, you can totally hear heaven if you listen for it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, there's another synchronicity with the whole heaven thing that Sherry got a few days ago. So I think we're supposed to bring heaven down here. You know?
I think so. Which I think it's already happened. I just think we've got to wake up and see it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I think it's there. I just think we just have to see it.
Yeah, like tapping into it.
Yeah, we would just have to pay attention. I think it's all around us. It's just that we're not. You know, but I just thought it was really cool. Like, I think I was supposed to be sick, because I don't get sick very much. And my daughters, you know, they're in 6th and 7th grade, and it's just constant with them. And got a pretty strong immune system. So for me to get sick, I was like, you know, and I thought, oh, I'll get over it. You know, and I do all this drinking lots of fluid and, you know, all this good stuff, you know.
Well, that's funny you mentioned that about using the script on yourself, or using some of the stuff we learned in our BQH sessions on yourself. And I was in the tub, a tank of water. I mean, this all just came to me when you were saying this a few weeks ago, when I had mentioned I was getting hot flashes and I just didn't feel very good. And then I ended up fasting for 3 days. But while I was in the tub sitting there meditating, I actually went through some of the script, and I'm like, please scan my body like I do for other people's. Please scan my body and see if there's any clearing I need or any healing, and do that. And then after that is when I went on that accidental, I put in quotes, I don't think it was an accident, my higher self probably put me on it, but I just lost my appetite for 3 days. And then I was just drinking V8s and stuff like that. And I felt great ever since then. I don't even have the hot flashes in the middle of the night like I was doing. So I don't know, it was like a purging I needed. But once again, using that script on myself and the tank of water. And that actually came up in a session yesterday about how important it is to be in the water, to use Dr. Emoto's blessing the water, you know, like putting love intention into the water you drink, and then the bathtub when you're taking a bath or a shower, putting that love intention into it. We probably need to do another love intention water on Saturday, Eileen and I, because it's so important. Water's so much a part of us. We're 2/3 water, just like the earth, you know.
And I think that's it exactly too. I think it's the asking you shall receive thing. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's the same. Like if you're in the tub or if you're, whatever you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
you're asking for that. And see, and I had read, somewhere that fasting, like you're talking about not eating for 3 days,
Mm-hmm.
is one of the, when your body's digesting, it's not healing.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's why when you're sick, it's good to like kind of eat light,
Mm-hmm.
drink lots of fluids, not eat a lot. Because your body, God, our bodies are so miraculous. They can do, they can heal, completely regenerate themselves.
Right.
So, but I think it's that whole asking you shall receive thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the way it is when somebody comes to you for a session or whatever. I mean, once you've made that decision to ask for that help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and when you ask from the heart, that's where the intention really gets put into it. So many times we'll make a petition, but we don't really feel it, So I think really expecting it, believing it's done, having that sense of bliss and knowing that it's been handled and it's out of your hands. You don't have to do anything. That, like we were talking about, our higher self that has so much more knowledge and knows what the future is and keeps making the choice to, I have no problem thinking I volunteered to come down here. After all the times I've helped people move and do things like that, I totally know. I was the guy that I don't doubt it at all that I volunteered to come here.
Oh, I don't doubt that I volunteered to come here. have you ever just thought that you weren't going to be here that long? Like, I never thought I would live to be. I'm 49. I just turned 49. Mm-hmm. Like, my whole life, I kind of always felt like I wasn't going to be here that long.
Right.
Like, I don't think I'm going to live to be 100.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's because something's going to happen and the world's coming to, I don't think it's anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes we just know, just something we just know. We don't know how or why, or it's just something I just know. Which maybe I wasn't going to. Maybe I had that choice. Maybe that was the whole deal.
Yeah.
Because I was only 21 when I had that car wreck.
Uh-huh.
I saw people that saw the wreck happen and was like, how are you even walking?
Right.
And I was like, well, I had 3 bulging discs in my low back. I had some back problems after that from the jolts. But, my school books, I was going to college at the time, and my books had glass embedded in them.
Mm.
And I didn't have a scratch on me anywhere.
Yeah.
But I saw it, like when it happened, like I saw the truck wasn't stopping. And I actually said, oh, shit. And I hit the gas as hard as I could because I knew I've got to get out of his way because I was in the middle of the intersection. Oh, and he would have come right in on my passenger door if I hadn't gassed it.
Oh, man.
And there was he actually was wedged up under my back quarter panel, like it popped the tire, it made a big, and it was just crazy. But anyway.
But you saw it from the outside. That's
actually... I watched it. Like the minute I realized he fixed me hit me, and I gassed it, like from that, for just a split second or a few seconds, I'm looking at myself in the car.
Wow.
From outside the car. Just for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm seeing me in the car as the accident happened.
Wow.
And it was the coolest thing. Like, and I can remember thinking, well, what was that all about? Well, maybe I was just supposed to, know that it's not time for me to go or whatever. But then now I look back at that and I think, well, maybe I had a choice.
Yeah.
Maybe that was a point where consciously I didn't know, but and it's so cool because we do these sessions and we learn so much. And they're all so different. And they're all so individual. Mm-hmm. And we learn, it's like little pieces of puzzles that kind of come together. But then, because I thought 20 years ago, I'm thinking, or 25 years ago, or I'm not even sure how long ago that was now. It's been more than 25 years. Mm-hmm. But, I was thinking, I had this one way of thinking about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But now I've got a totally different way of thinking about what happened that day.
Mm-hmm.
And I think about a lot of other times when, I was really, really sick or whatever, and I think, well, you know what, maybe, just maybe. And it's pretty cool because then you kind of feel like, well, I had a choice. At some point I might have had a choice several times, and just because I don't consciously.
Right.
Maybe I really did. Maybe I really did choose to stay way back then, and then and here
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah, I've
if
had
you
times
look at it.
I've had times where I felt like, hey, if there's anybody that's wanting to walk in, just let me know. You know what I mean? Like I'm not suicidal or anything, but if you guys want to do the old switcheroo and let me out of here and have somebody else take over, that's totally cool with me. You know what I mean? But yeah,
I wasn't suicidal. Well, I wouldn't consider myself suicidal. I mean, but I always told everybody, if everybody knew what I know, nobody would be afraid to die. Just like you said, because it's not over.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like anything I'm afraid of.
Right.
I would just be like, okay, I'm tired, I'm ready, I'm ready to go. Just let me go in my sleep, and it'll all be good.
Yeah.
But then I guess it's just we would miss something. I think we would miss something huge if we opted out now. I really do.
I
kind of feel like I kind of feel like that's what I actually kind of got to see, that like in the dream with my dad, and then having that session right after that, which that's been a few months ago that I had that session. But then I had this whatever happened the other night, and I was like, hey, wait a minute, maybe I just got to make that choice.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And I felt really good about it, because I was like, wait a minute. And I mean, I always think I chose to come in. But I don't know, it was just like, it gives you that kind of that renewed feeling that something cool's about to happen.
Yeah.
And there's a part of me that knows that don't want to miss it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm totally with you on that. I feel exactly the same way. Yeah. Yeah, the best is yet to come. And I'm already getting a little taste of it here and there.
And you see little things happening, like just like that little dream, or like whatever happened to you in the bathtub. Have you seen the video with Lori Polina and Candace, where he tells about what happened to him in the bathtub?
Candace Carl Goldman and who?
Lori Polina.
No.
He has a.
I know Lori Polina. Yeah, I'm subscribed to him, but I didn't realize they did a video together.
Yeah, that's actually how it's been about 3 years ago, maybe a little longer. But that's how I found out about him, and I related to him so much, because when he found out about Dolores, like he read like all her books in 2 or 3 months. It took me a couple of years, but he was like really into it. And he went and had a session, and it seemed to be like really nothing happened. But he was in the tub, and he tells this story in like the first video that Candace does with him, and it is amazing. But anyway, he's like in the tub, and he flashes back to like the past life where he's in this war. You'll have to watch it, because I don't remember. It's been a long time. I don't remember enough details. I'm afraid I'll mess it up.
Right.
But like, he actually had healing occur during this. Like, it was so awesome. And he is awesome. I love it. I can't wait when he puts out a video. I can't wait to watch it, because I just love him. He is so amazing.
Yeah, Lori Polina.
But,
just for anybody that hasn't subscribed. I don't think I need to go check and make sure I'm still subscribed, because I might have got unsubscribed, or the bell might have gone unticked.
He doesn't do a lot of videos lately. He did like one a week or one a month for a while he was doing that. And all that stuff is so cool. That stuff I don't know if he's channeling it or where it's coming from. It's really awesome about the ship.
Right. Yeah, I think I did something with him when it was, he was doing something for 11/11. So I don't know. That was probably 2 years ago. So I might have not known about him yet.
He did one right before 11/11 this year too, but he was missing for a few months, and I told him, I was like, "Where have you been?" But he was just kind of doing like all of us, kind of trying to ride the waves, and do his own personal stuff. But he's put out a couple of videos since then. But he did this thing in the bathtub, and when you said that, I thought that is so cool.
Yeah.
But it was after the session, and he was in the tub, and like just all of a sudden had this flashback to where like he was in another life or something, and of a war. And it was really cool. And then he had like this healing occur, And then he did like you. He started like talking to his, like asking, can I do this scan? Can I heal this? And he would get a no or he would get a yes. And some things were healed and some, you know, was, no, it's not time to heal that yet or whatever. But it's really cool. It's really cool. But I really had a connection with him. And when you said that about the tub, that's who I thought of, because he had that happen. And they say, you know, that you can get a lot of negative stuff released, you know, being in the lake or in the pool or in the tub. That water is really powerful for that, to like cleanse and heal and get rid of a lot of stuff. And a lot of it is that intention. It's that intention. That's the biggest part of it, I think.
Yeah, I think also from a very scientific point, you're like really grounded when you're in the water, because it's like, you know how you don't want to walk in water and if there's electricity, because it can shock you, because it's it's a conductor of electricity. So I think, it just really grounds you. And then if you think about all the metal pipes, and so you're in the tub, the metal tub, and it's like grounding, even if you're in the bathtub or a lake or whatever. So that's sort of why I did it in the tub, because I felt more grounded,
And it's I don't know, it's just, I used to do this thing. I have migraines, and it used to help me. People say the shower don't work as well as the tub, but it will. I would go in there and do that kind of same thing where I'm kind of visualizing that water is hitting the top of my head, and I'm visualizing the energy going through, and then like running down. You just imagine it in your head that while the water's hitting the top of your head, and it's like you're letting that flow through you and down the drain. And I mean, I have gotten rid of many of migraines. Just standing there and letting that water flow over, and just imagining that just leaving you and coming out and going down through your feet and down the drain. And it works.
Absolutely, yep.
It really works.
And most of us really don't try it because we don't believe it'll work. But, how many times do we hear Jesus talk about your faith has made you whole? He never says, oh, yeah, I just healed you. He says your faith has made you whole.
Oh, it works. And there's a lot of times like when I can get my head to stop hurting while I'm in the shower. But after I get out of the shower, it'll come back, and I'm like, oh, if I could only stand in the shower all day. But it works while you're in there. It's like you're visualizing that pain leaving and going. You know what I mean? So you're pretty much relieving your own pain.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you, it had been years since I'd taken a bath. I just take showers, and I just felt the urge to start taking baths again, and spending time in the water more, because I don't walk, especially like this time of the year. It's just a little too cold to walk around outside barefoot, and I'm not a walk outside barefoot kind of person since I was a kid. So it's my time to ground. I even got those grounding straps and would sit with them on, but then they broke, and I realized it wasn't really grounding me. But yeah, I think it's good to be grounded. Earthing. There's actually a movie, I think it's called Earthing, actually, that talks about all the benefits of being grounded and connected to Earth. And if you think about it, they create all of our shoes with rubber and insulate it from the Earth, and we just don't, we might be on it, but we've always got that layer of rubber that's sort of insulating us. So I think it is good to, and in that session that I just had yesterday, there, she was visualizing the hands being on the Earth and the energy going into it. So I think it's an important thing. We're actually ascending with the Earth, so we're on this ride together.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, is you feel that connection just by. I'm a barefoot person. I go around barefoot.
Yeah.
I'm barefooted. I'm barefooted more than I have shoes on, and I always have been that way. So, and that's probably why. And that's probably why that,
It's a good practice, definitely.
I mean, people do it, without really even knowing why they're doing it. I think a lot of people do it and they don't realize how much it's helping them.
Yeah. How many people, there's a lot of people that sit outside Indian style on the ground and they don't realize why they're doing it. But yeah, it is an important practice. But when you stop doing it, and you sort of get disconnected, and you can't put two and two together. But that's come through in sessions before. Make sure you spend time grounding outside on the ground, and so yeah, it's
And the sun,
important.
the sun is another thing, that letting the sun shine on you for a few minutes. That is a major thing, you know, letting that energy from the sun recharge your batteries or whatever, you know, I don't know, but it does. And I know my whole life I've had, you know, I can tell the difference in my moods in the wintertime when it's cold and dreary and, you know, cloudy and no sun. And as soon as the spring, you know, everybody gets spring fever. The minute that sun starts shining, flowers start blooming. You can just feel that change just immediately. And
there's nothing quite like
realize
that feeling. I mean, you get nostalgia every year.
We are by it. It's like,
that wind is warm.
Spring. Oh my God.
Yeah, spring is a wonderful time.
It really is, and I don't think anybody. I mean, you know, you see even the little animals. I mean, everybody gets excited.
Yep.
You just watch the birds and the little, and then everybody's like, yes, finally. And I mean, I live in the South, so they don't. I mean, it gets cold, but it don't. You know, we don't have like hard freezes for weeks at a time. We'll get a couple of freezes, but you know, it's still around here. You see it. You see all the little animals start getting all excited.
Yeah, it's like, where are all these animals coming out, and just like we are coming out from our shelter? You know, they're all coming out, and you hear all the birds, and it's a wonderful time, definitely.
And drive by a car wash. You know, the first couple of days of spring, everybody's washing their cars. Like everybody's like, yes, finally.
Washing all that salt off of them.
That's hilarious. But it is. I mean, a lot of people don't even realize how big of an impact that the dreariness makes on people. But it does. I think that's why there's a lot of people say, look, it's the holidays. I think it's just the cold.
Yeah. We
had a really long, we had an extension to summer this year. I mean, it was still 100 degrees. In the end of September.
Right.
The first day of October, it was 100 degrees. And I was out at the pool.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just like, that was something for me. I was just like, everybody was, I can't wait for this heat. I was like, shut up. Let it stay warm. Oh my gosh. Just be quiet. No, we don't want the cold.
Yeah. I don't know how many times.
Because if it stays warm longer, it'll be, you know, we'll have a short period of doom and gloom and cold and dreary.
Yeah, and another thing is that getting dark early is another thing that, or, you know, staying dark later in the morning, and all of that adds to the whole, I don't know, feeling of less sunshine. I mean, it is less sunshine, but, you know, I guess the further north you are, the more you have to deal with that. And I don't know how many times, you know, we're about to go live, Eileen and I, on Saturday night, and you know, it's like cold here, but she's like, oh, sorry, I just got back from the pool and took a shower. And I'm like, the pool? Well, she's at the tip of Florida down there, so she gets to enjoy it a lot longer.
Oh,
more of the year.
Yeah, my girls are going to stay with their dad in Florida next week. And like today, there was a 20-degree difference in there and here today. You know, I'm looking at this, I'm going, yeah, you know, it's so much warmer there.
Yeah.
They're going to really enjoy it.
Yeah.
But,
awesome.
But yeah, I think it does. I think it affects people's moods, and I really don't think people realize. I think that's what, and I don't really even want to get into this whole chemtrail thing, but, you know, one of the sessions you did, who was it? Oh, I can see her. The crystals in the skin. Oh, what is her name? I feel plum embarrassed.
Oh, yeah.
Tony.
Yeah, T. Taylor.
Tony.
Yep, Tony Taylor.
Okay. So, I think it was her session where she talked about that's all for nothing. It don't matter. We don't even got to worry about that anymore. Yeah, they're still doing it.
Yeah.
But it's for nothing. It's like,
yeah.
you know, they're still doing it. And why they're doing it, to try to block the energy from the sun, but it's not doing any good because it's just
they're trying to delay the inevitable. That's why I like that Looking Glass video, because they're trying everything they can to stop it, but it's checkmate. We're just a few moves away.
But that's old, right? That video was like from
2012.
2012, okay.
Yeah, it's from the beginning of 2012 was actual. But yeah, that was, and then the information he was given was from back in the 90s when they were looking forward to 2012 and the convergence of the timelines. But we're right in that point, and we're starting to see, I don't know. I think the Mandela effect might be pointing at what he was talking about, the converging of the timelines. It all makes sense, and then just the great awakening that we're realizing. I know I was awakened by the Mandela effect along with so many others, and it might not even be the Mandela effect, but it's just different things going around that are waking people up to what's really going on, and then that leads them to something else, and then, it's just a process. We're all on this journey,
Well, I think that, it's all going to happen, no matter what we do or don't do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it can't be stopped.
It's happening. Sure. It's just, are we going to open our eyes and see it?
Exactly.
I think it's happening. I think it's been happening. Seriously, I really do. I think 2012 was a major time because I think a lot of people had a huge, I don't even know if you would just call it a huge shift or what you would call it.
Mm-hmm.
But because, I've had stuff happen way before 2012. I had some cool things happen. I've read a lot of really cool books and noticed a lot of really cool things going on before 2012. But I think 2012 was a huge thing. I had major, major life changes at the end of 2012, the beginning of 2013. And that's when I found out about Dolores Cannon.
Yeah.
Somebody like in 2013, the beginning, around then. So, that's what I'm saying, and y'all were saying that the Mandela effect, nobody knew about her. Well, I've never heard of her until 2013.
For me, it was 2017 until I heard of her. She had already passed away by the time.
Yeah, she had passed away. Here's the weird thing. I knew about her. I read the book in 2013 and was reading her other books. And it was 2016 before I knew she had passed away. And I go on her website and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Why did we not hear about this? I couldn't believe it. Not that, but I couldn't believe I had not heard about it for almost 2 years, or at least over a year. And I had been reading the books during this time, and then I go on there and I'm like, there's a in memory or one thing, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Why didn't I not hear about this? And I don't know. That's just weird to me that they tell you about people through, the news. It's a constant thing, and I had not heard a thing about it.
Yeah.
And I went back. I think I just went back to the website when I was looking into taking the course, and I found out, and I was like, "That's crazy."
Yeah.
It had been over a year.
Yeah, like Cynthia and I were talking. A lot of people didn't know anything about her, and they would have. They were in the research, and then there was people she knew that she didn't know about that sort of popped on the scene, and that she would have known about. And I think it all could be answered, like I said in that show with Cynthia, that maybe these converging timelines or realities are merging, and it's causing people that maybe they died originally in your reality, but now as they compress and converge in together, they were alive on other timelines or realities, and then here they are again, and all of a sudden we hear about them, but maybe they never even existed on our timeline.
No, it's just really cool. It's just really cool. I don't know. It's just really cool. Like the Bride Wife, I had not heard of Bride Wife until after, I'd say around 2017. And I started reading his books, and it was so cool to me because he accidentally took this girl back into a past life almost around the same time that happened with Dolores and her husband.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure, the exact time frame, but it was
Mm-hmm.
like late 80s, right about the time her books were coming. I mean, it's just, to me, it was just so weird that here these people were, totally different parts of the world, had the exact same things going on, like this was supposed to be happening right now, and it didn't matter.
Yeah, yeah.
It was going to happen regardless. Like,
Yeah.
he had been trying to find out the girl couldn't take medicine, and he had been trying to find out why she had these phobias. I don't know if you know a whole lot about Brian Weiss, but he had took her back to every part of her life where this could have stemmed from, and he just accidentally said, let's go back to where this phobia started. Boom,
Mm-hmm.
she's back in another life 200 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he's like,
right. Right. And it totally went against what his worldview was at that time. So, yeah, I think that adds credence to it.
Like, what is this?
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't know how to react to that.
Yeah.
And then he kept on and kept on doing these sessions with her till she was cured of all her phobias.
Mm-hmm.
Tired of doing these sessions. He was doing it now to try to, learn.
Yeah.
I'm like Dolores Cannon. It was just like, so it was like it all started happening just
Mm-hmm.
like it was supposed to, when it was supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
To different people. And then, like, for me to read this and then read that, like, just like Neil Donald Walsh. I mean, a lot of people, I think Neil Donald Walsh was pretty much talking to his higher self.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and the church is like, oh my God, this is blasphemy. Don't read that. It's the devil. No, it's not.
Right.
How could it be bad? Listen to what he's saying.
Yeah,
And tell me
fear
how
just
that
holds
could
us
be
back.
bad.
Fear holds us back so much. It really is a shame. And, I have no regrets. I know I ended up here right on time and where I'm supposed to be. But, man, fear has helped me back so much in my life that, I think, wow, I could have been so much further along. That's why I think this new generation that are so fearless are able to progress so much faster because they're just fearless. They're, bungee jumping and jumping out of planes and doing all this fun stuff, you know what I mean? So they don't have that fear. And it, you can progress so much faster when you don't get held back by fear. And, we really have nothing to fear but fear itself, as the famous saying goes.
Exactly.
Well, Jolie, I've got a few other callers lined up.
Coward dies many.
Go ahead.
What was the saying? A coward dies many times before their death. But the valiant only tasted death but once.
Yeah. And now that we know that
So
there's
anyway,
much more after that, there's nothing to fear even within death.
That's exactly right. So now we all know.
Absolutely.
And there's so many movies, all these movies coming out. This is the coolest thing. The movies, these little dogs, but it's dog movies about reincarnation. It's the coolest thing. When that first book, that first A Dog's Purpose came out, oh my gosh, Facebook was just blowing up with people. Don't go watch that movie. They're abusing these dogs. And, of course, the actress was coming out going, these dogs have been abused. But it was all trying to keep that from coming out. And my daughter said that they showed it at school, and the librarian said, now, I'm going to let y'all watch this movie.
Mm-hmm.
But y'all know that we only have one life.
Yeah.
And dogs only live one life, right? And they're like, my daughter said, she was like, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Who knows? But anyway.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool, but it has to come out. It has to come out in baby steps.
It does. Yeah, because you
people
can't blow
have been
everybody's
so
mind at once.
Yeah, people have been so conditioned, and the fear behind believing that there's more than that there's reincarnation. So I came here knowing it. I knew it.
Yeah.
You couldn't have told me any different at 5, But there's a lot of people that you don't even want to talk about that.
Yeah.
It scares them so bad.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, it's pretty cool that these little dog movies like The Dog's Journey and The Dog's Purpose and those, they're so cool. And
I've got to check them out. I'm not familiar
The Art
with
of
any of
Racing
those.
in the Rain.
Yeah.
The Art of Racing in the Rain was written in 2011, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And the movie just came out, and it just came out on DVD like a week or so ago. But my daughter brought the book home. I'm a reader, and I read the book and just cried and cried and cried. It was so good.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like a dog telling his, you know, telling in the dog's words the story, and he knew that when he comes back after he dies, he's going to come back as a man.
Mm-hmm.
It's just these little movies are just the cutest little things. But it helps people to kind of, I mean, they're just little kids movies, but I think they're awesome.
Yeah.
And you can see when somebody starts saying, no, don't go watch that, that's when my little radar goes up and I go, okay, what are they scared of? I got to see this.
Yeah.
There's something scaring somebody really bad about that. I want to see it. But, yeah. Anyway,
Absolutely.
I know you got somebody waiting. I just
all right,
called
thank you,
because
Jolie.
nobody else was calling.
I appreciate it. It was good to hear from you. Lots of love to you.
Y'all have a great Thanksgiving if I don't talk to you before then.
All right, you too.
Thanksgiving.
Sounds good. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. Alrighty, let's see what we got here. Hold on one second. Okay, gonna go back to the phone lines here. Couple of things I need to fix here.
Stories on air. You're listening to the Love Stream.
Okay. Alright, sorry about that. Okay, gonna go back to the phone lines. 812 area code. Who am I talking to?
Yeah, hi, brother. This is April Lunsford.
Hey, April. Cool.
Hey.
What?
Yeah,
Am I really
found
loud?
a scripture.
Oh, okay.
Am I really loud?
No. No, the way you said holy, I thought maybe I was blaring your ears off or something.
I didn't say holy, did I?
Oh.
I said hello. I don't think
said...
I did. Maybe I did.
maybe it was my perception was altered or something. Okay, so you found the scripture.
Yeah.
Where did it end up being? Okay, just to catch everybody up, those who remember the story of Jesus casting the demons out of the man that comes out of the cave, and then he's got a legion of demons. He asks, what's their name? They say, we are legion, for we are many. Don't cast us into the abyss. Send us into the pigs instead. So Jesus did, and all the pigs run over the edge of the cliff or whatever. So that's basically the story. That for people who know the Bible, that should ring a bell at least. So now there's two men?
Yeah, so, and thank you for recapping that. The other night, I've been studying the Urantia papers, and it came up, the scriptures came up, you know, and I was doing a cross-reference, and I'm looking, and I see two possessed with devils. And, you know, so I didn't obviously mention it at that time. It wasn't the time and place for what we were studying. Mm-hmm. But I couldn't wait to get your opinion because I thought, was there two? And then, of course, doing a cross-reference, you don't find it in the other scripture. So I thought, well, maybe it is my memory. So maybe somebody does remember there being two. But in Matthew and chapter 8, verse 28, it says, and when he was come to the other side into the country of the Gergesens, I mean, I know I'm not pronouncing that right, but
close enough.
There met him two possessed with devils, coming out of the tombs, exceeding fierce, so that no man might pass by that way. And of course, it goes on with the rest of it. But and behold, they cried out, saying, What do we have to do with thee, Jesus, thou Son of God? Art thou hither to torment us before the time? Now, but there was only one, you know, I just remember the one that got healed. So maybe there was two and only one got healed, but I do not recall in my memory that there were two coming out to meet Jesus.
So I'm looking at this. I'm wondering, okay, some distance from, let's see. I'm trying to figure out, does this go on to say only one of the men? Let's see, including those tending to the pigs ran off, went into the town and reported all this, including what had happened to the demon-possessed men. So
oh my goodness, it says, I didn't even get, I just got that.
Then the whole town went out Okay, so does he come back to Jesus? And then he tells, let's see. And when they saw him, they pleaded with him to leave their region. So in this story, I guess they don't go back and talk to Jesus. Okay, in the other, in Luke and in Mark, you know, the man wants to go with Jesus, and Jesus is like, no, go back and tell everybody what the Lord did for you. Go to your people or whatever.
Right. So this is Matthew's version.
Yeah,
Of,
8:28 for anybody that wants to look at that. Matthew 8:28. So now we have three versions of this story, you guys. It's Mark 5:1 through 20, Luke 8:26 through 39, and Matthew 8:28 through 34. If you want to look at all three of these stories, because two of them have one man coming out, and this is the region. The regions are the same.
It's the same, and they go into
the same
decline.
story.
Yes, and here's the thing, studying the Bible, you learn to cross-reference.
Right.
That's like a big thing. You're always, especially the book of the Gospels, because you have the different perceptions of the same story, if you will, or fact. And so I've always cross-referenced. That's what I was doing when I was reading the other scripture they referred to. I was cross-referencing. So in my mind, I'm thinking it was my natural nature to cross-reference. I believe I would have noticed that before.
Yeah. Yeah, I would have definitely noticed this before because of the whole Legion part. It's the most detailed of the stories. And in fact, anytime I think of Jesus casting demons out of anybody, this is the story I think about because it's in 3 of the 4 Gospels. So you hear it. If you're, there's times when I would go through just the Gospels alone, all 4 books over and over and over and over, and just to get all the different points of view. And it's kind of interesting that it's not in John, which is the most Gnostic of the 4 Gospels that's included in the Bible. I guess they don't cover the story in John, but yeah, I would have realized if 2 men came out in one of the versions for sure, because I've gone through the Gospels more than the rest of the Bible, and yeah, there's no way I would have missed this. This is definitely a Mandela effect for me, or something new for me. There wasn't 2 men that had the demons cast out of them, because that was the big thing. It's like how. Because I think, I heard in church one time that a legion was 1,000 or 2,000 or some kind of big number. And it's like, see how many demons can fit inside one man? And that was sort of the pastor's story, you know what I mean? And that kind of blows it out of the water, because now you got, 500 in each man or whatever a legion is. I don't remember the exact number, but it was
I thought it meant 77 or something, but I don't either. And, it's just... it was a lot, put it that way.
Right.
I don't even... but I know there wasn't a lot of men hanging out with the legions, and only one went on. So anyways, that was an aha moment for me. I don't know why,
it says
why it's there.
It says the definition of a legion, the principal unit of the Roman army comprising 3,000 to 6,000 foot soldiers, with cavalry, Caesar and his legions defeated, whatever. So, yeah, 3,000 to 6,000. So that is a lot of demons in one person. It's even a lot in one man or 2 men.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So great catch with that. I don't think that's out there yet.
Well, and I didn't go on after that to study that in particular and like really pick it apart. So I do want to say that. However, it was enough to catch me, and and then my work schedule. So I'll get back into it. But I did catch that right off, and when you see things changing before your eyes, you're more in tune to being like, oh, wow, look at that. And I don't know the significance of it, or what it means or why it changed.
Well, one of the things that came to mind immediately when you had mentioned it in the chat was how there's always a different way of looking at things. And I know people had a problem with 2 men in one bed, one taken, one left. And I kind of just looked at it as it looks, because I wasn't sure. That reads differently in the different Gospels. So, that little detail, I wasn't sure if it was a Mandela effect or not. I couldn't be 100% at least with it. So, but, I thought it was a good way of saying that, we judge people and we think we know why people should deserve to go to heaven and hell. But clearly here, if this is saying what it looks like it's saying and people are upset about, it's saying that God looks at the heart. And so if they're living in a way that you don't agree with, perhaps God says, one of them was worthy of going, one of them wasn't. And who are we to judge? Who are we to cast the stone, as Jesus says? So that was sort of my thought. But then I heard somebody else talking about the two men are representing the two hemispheres of the brain. So I thought, oh, that's kind of a different take on it, because, the ego, the service to self, the left brain, the analytical part, gets left, but the more godly, creative right brain part gets taken or something. It was just a completely different way of looking at it. So when you said that, I started thinking along those lines, well, two men, having demons cast out. And really, in my mind, the demons are more like thought forms rather than these little evil little minions running around like people think. I mean, I think it's a good I think it's a good analogy, but I don't think it's literal. I think it's, we all have our demons, so to speak, in the sense of we can be taken away by our thoughts. We can let our thoughts carry us away somewhere we really don't want to go, and we should be in control of those thoughts. But sometimes they can run away, from us, and we end up somewhere we don't want to be. But it's all about controlling those thoughts. So that kind of crossed my mind. But I don't know. I'd have to look at that more. But it's definitely new to me. I have to ask Go-Kart Bob if he's familiar about that. Okay, guys, I am going to type the verses in here while April's talking.
I figured that, that's why I wanted to bring it before our family here, because I know there's a lot of scripture readers, and and how we're also very open, not to bring religion into the mix, but I know I don't even have to say that here among us. But it's just so juicy, and to me, it's, the words of God. So then I'm looking at that, and not to mud up the water or take away from that by any means, but I also wanted your opinion on Matthew 8 and verses 10 through 13. But the scripture I'd like your thoughts on is verse 12, but reading them all together. Always read before, always read after, right?
That's what I like about Bible Gateway, is like you'll look up a scripture and it says in context, and it will add like a few before and after or whatever. Okay, so are we okay, Matthew 8, Jesus heals a man with leprosy?
Yeah, just a page over. Well, it's actually, it's Matthew 8, but starting in verse, it's actually just start in verse
5 through 13?
9.
Okay,
yeah,
9.
5 through 13 if you want to do that. Yeah. If you want to read it, you probably could do a lot better than I can.
Yeah, I'll read it. Let's see. This is the NIV. I know. I hope some people have problems with every version. You just can't make everybody happy. But if you want to read it in the King James, I find that people can understand the NIV probably better, and it doesn't change it as much. But that's my own opinion, of course. Okay, so this
is the NIV, is that a translation or a paraphrase?
It's just a translation, the New International Version. Yeah. So it's not like the message.
My big thing, as long as it's not a paraphrase.
Like the message where it really just, Okay, so this section is called The Faith of the Centurion. When Jesus had entered Capernaum, a centurion came to him asking for help. Lord, he said, my servant lies at home paralyzed, suffering terribly. Jesus said to him, shall I come and heal him? The centurion replied, Lord, I do not deserve to have you come under my roof, but just say the word and my servant will be healed. For I myself am a man under authority. I thought it was of authority, but okay, with soldiers under me. I tell this one, go, and he goes, and that one, come, and he comes. I say to my servant, do this, and he does it. When Jesus heard this, he was amazed and said to those following him, truly I tell you, I have not found anyone in Israel with such great faith. I say to you that many will come from the east and the west, and will take their places at the feast with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. but the subjects of the kingdom will be thrown outside into the darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Then Jesus said to the centurion, Go, let it be done just as you believed it would. And his servant was healed at that moment.
Okay, so the verse 12 in the King James, and not that it changed it much at all, but it says, But the children of the kingdom shall be cast out into outer darkness. They shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. So they're talking about the kingdom of heaven here in verse 11.
Mm-hmm.
Correct? But then we have Abraham and Isaac and Jacob. So I'm thinking, is that religion? Abraham, being the Old Testament, the Ten Commandments. Isaac, now Isaac, was he one of the twins? Was it Isaac whose name changed? I'm trying to recall Isaac.
Well, Isaac was Abraham's son by Sarah or Sarai, I think before her name changed.
Yeah, he wasn't one of the twins, but he was born of Sarah, and then it was the other, I forget his name, but born
Ishmael.
of the other woman first.
Right.
Ishmael was born first. Okay, so then you have Isaac representing, I don't know what part you would think Isaac would be. Obviously, not New Testament, but maybe the division in between, and then Jacob.
Mm-hmm.
But it's in the kingdom of heaven. But it's saying that the children of the kingdom shall be cast out into darkness. There shall be
What version are you reading? Is that King James Version?
Well, yeah, brother, it's the version.
Okay, let me pull it up in there. Okay, let's see. Matthew 8. Oops, I gotta switch up to King James. That's interesting because I don't think it said children before. Let me see though.
Well, it says children, and then now get this, at some point in time, I underlined this, children, and then the kingdom. And then in my writing on the side, I have of Satan, ? Because why would they be cast out into outer darkness if it's talking about the kingdom of heaven?
Yeah.
So it's interesting to me. I'm reading it anew now, thinking, wow. So, what did a preacher add that in there? And I just wrote a little note there and asked with a question mark because it didn't say it that way. Like, hey, come back to this, But reading it again, and I say unto you that many shall come from the east and west, and shall sit down with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. But the children of the kingdom shall be cast out into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. I just wanted to know what your take was on that.
That's a great question. I'm trying to, let's see, Matthew 8.
Or, of course, any of our other, anyone's take on that.
Yeah, let me see. Let me switch it to King James, and then, gosh, how can I get to the verse I want here? Okay, here we go. Let's see. Okay, the children of the king. Okay, so let me go to 12. Okay, Matthew 8:12. Now let me open it in the King James Version. Oh, I went backwards on it. I should have. Okay, let me hit 8:12 and then hit interlinear. I want to see what the original Greek says here.
Oh, yes,
Okay.
Thank you for that. I do have the the concordance, too, for the Greek, but the interlinear is better if you know the words in it.
Right,
Well,
here
how
you
to
can just
recognize
hover.
spelling.
Yeah, a great resource is BibleHub.com, and you can, pull up a verse like this, and it has, here we have the, however, sons of the kingdom. Now, then I can hover over the kingdom and get to the original word is in the Strong's Concordance. It comes from Basilius, and it's royalty, rule, or realm. So this sounds like a translation that it probably should have been of this realm. I think would have been, okay, so let me go back a verse.
No, okay, so wait.
I want to see if the kingdom is the same in the,
okay.
previous verse.
Gotcha.
Let's see. Many will come from the east and the west, recline with the Abraham, Isaac, in the kingdom. Okay, nope, same. Well, no, it's a little bit different. Basilia, from Basilius, properly royalty, rule, or realm. 932 in the Strong's Concordance. Let me see if it was the same number. 932.
So you're saying 932 because I have that. I have the Vine, so expository dictionary, the Old and New Testament, which you can look at the Greek words and then or Hebrew, but it's actually a book.
Right.
So it's taken me a moment here. No, thank you for that. So there is a difference in the spelling. You're saying from the kingdom spelling and the verse. Let's see, 11 is different than the kingdom in verse 12?
No, actually, they're the same original Greek.
That's blowing my mind.
Yeah.
So wait, no. Okay, so go ahead and tell me what you think.
Well, it's saying properly royalty, i.e. rule or a realm. And that's sort of like the issue that I have with so many of the translations is that there's so many different words it could actually be. And it's like, why did you decide on that one? You know, it's because here it sounds like it's, you know, it could have easily been translated of this realm, like the rulers of this realm. And it would have been, in my mind at least, less contradictory sounding, if you know what I mean. That is super, super interesting.
My thing is it isn't contradictory here. My thing is, so the kingdom of heaven or the realm of heaven, the royalty of heaven, like that, my thing is the children of the kingdom, whether it be the realm of heaven, the realm of royalty, the priesthood, it says shall be cast out into outer darkness. See, that's whether what kingdom means now. If the kingdom word would have changed and it would have been the kingdom of darkness, or you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So my thing is so then is that religion?
So
yeah,
and I'm looking at the before, and I'm trying to figure out if it could have been this. It says the definite article the or the. Okay, so the realm, and it doesn't say of God though. So here we have, you know, the kingdom of God or the kingdom. Like, you know, we're looking at two different kingdoms.
It says the kingdom of heaven, not of God.
Right. A kingdom of heaven. Right, and that actually. Let's see, kingdom of heaven. Let me look and see kingdom. Of the heavens,
so I have
actually.
kingdom.
The kingdom of the heavens.
No, where do you see that at?
Does it not say the heavens let me go back and see the King James. Kingdom. Wow,
no, I'm looking right at it.
Okay, so in the interlinear it says Jacob in the kingdom of the heavens. This is when we're getting back to the original. In heavens, it says perhaps from the same as Oros, the sky, by extension heaven, by implication happiness, power, eternity, especially the gospel. I don't know. That sounds like that at the end. Okay.
No, listen. Plural. So entrance into the kingdom of God is by the new birth. I'm reading in the vines. And I'm reading here because I'm looking up kingdom. Then it goes on down. The expression kingdom of God occurs 4 times in Matthew under kingdom of heavens, usually taking its place. The latter, Daniel 4:26, does not occur elsewhere in the New Testament. So Daniel 4:26, can you look that up?
Daniel 4:26? Yeah.
Yeah. That particular in the interlinear, so we can see how it's spelled. This kingdom is identical. So, but see, in 2 Timothy, I'll just ramble on while you're looking at. In 2 Timothy 4:18, it says, "His heavenly kingdom." This kingdom is identical with the kingdom of the Father. Matthew 26:29. Mark, it gives other references. And with the kingdom of the Son, in Luke, thus there is but one kingdom variously described of the Son of Man, and that's in Matthew 13:41.
No, this is a different word. Actually, it's together in Hebrew as your kingdom. It's to accurately translate this. You would need this word actually means your kingdom, and it's Malkutak or Kutek, and it's your kingdom, and its occurrence is one of 3 times. So it doesn't even occur many times in the Bible.
Yeah, it doesn't. And it
in Daniel, each time. It's only in Daniel 3 different times. That word is nowhere else.
So think about that. This is blowing my mind.
Yeah, and I really like Daniel. Daniel seems really connected. That's one of my favorite books of the Bible.
I'm interrupting. I'm not trying to because I think there's like a delay there.
Sorry, yeah.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. But the kingdom, you're thinking about how you said we're bringing heaven on earth, and the conversation I was listening, I was driving home, that's why I couldn't respond. But it's just interesting to me. I don't know. It's just some thoughts. What does this mean? And looking at the way it's spelled differently. But I love the fact that we can look up at those words for now. And say it is what it is. It's spelled this way. Mm-hmm. As we see everything changing constantly around us, I don't know.
Right.
And
I never trust my memory. So I'm the kind of person that writes things down or takes a screenshot or something, but that doesn't work with the Mandela effect. That it just changed. So I need to start relying on my memory a little bit more. But these are definitely different words. I'll remember that much. Can you look up Matthew? Can you look up Matthew 6:10 and see how it's spelled there, and if it's the same word? And that is, "Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven." Okay, Matthew 6. What did you say it was?
10. 6:10.
Matthew 6:10. Okay.
Thy
yep, that's that same word. That basilia. It means kingdom. It means properly royalty, i.e., rule or a realm. That's interesting. So that's the same word as we see in this other spot in Matthew that we were just looking at.
Now, can you spell that again, how it's spelled, the kingdom there in the Greek?
Okay, let's see. It is Basilia. And anybody with a Strong's Concordance can look it up as 932, and E is in brackets. I'm not sure what that means. Englishman's Greek Concordance. Here's it says. Oh, okay.
It says here it is used especially of the kingdom of God and of Christ. That word, and I would say basilia. And it's denoting the territory or people over whom a king rules, lowercase. It is used especially of the kingdom, and that's a uppercase kingdom here of God and of Christ, which, usually one time it certainly meant that was deity when we use capital letters. So the kingdom of God, and this is all under that same word, in Romans 13:1 and 2. The earth is a scene of universal rebellion against God. I don't know. I got a lot of studying to do on this one word.
Okay, so children in when you look up the Greek for, it's not children, it says sons, and then if I look up the original on that, I don't even know how to pronounce it. It's Huioi, but it's
Under
a son.
children?
Yeah, where they've translated it children in the King James. It's actually better translated as son, and it's a son, descendant, apparently a primary word. So a son, really, it should be.
Oh, that's interesting. So then that means it would be
However, a son of the kingdom of
be
this
born
realm.
of God.
Right. But the ones getting cast out, though, however, the son of the realm, it could be like this, those that are more, descendants.
Or the kingdom.
Right, right, yeah.
The word is the same.
Right, it is the same word, yeah.
It is. I mean, we got to look at it hard there and be like, okay, well, it's just interesting to me. Now, it doesn't mean like I'm trying to think, we're going to be cast out into hell and all this. What is interesting to me is my thoughts lately on the fallen angels.
Right.
This is why it's interesting to me.
Oh, okay. Let me see.
Because...
wait, let's see. Okay, we'll be cast out. We need to look at what darkness is then. Okay. However, the sons of the kingdom will be cast out into the darkness, the outer. Okay, so let's see. The darkness is skotos is the word, and it says darkness, either physical or moral. That makes a huge difference. Physical or moral. I mean, this could be like, and we actually see this happening, when you're, when you sort of ignore, when you're more service to self, you're already in that moral darkness, right? I mean, it's not like something you go to in the future. It's like a current condition that we can find ourselves in. Just like if you say, oh, my day was hell today, or my day was horrible today, and, it was just that single day. It wasn't sort of this idea of an eternal torture or something, but it says either physical or moral from the base of skia, shadiness, or obscurity. I mean, that's so many different ways you can take that word, the darkness. And then it says the outer, exterion, so, yeah, external, comparative of exo or exterior, outer. So that's translated pretty good.
Yeah.
But physical or moral darkness?
The free will. The free will. Yeah, like, no, I know, moral darkness. What? No. Say it like that one more time.
Okay, so when it says they will be cast out into the darkness, that darkness, the word for darkness is it's darkness, either physical or moral, from the base of skia, which means shadiness, i.e., obscurity. So, I mean, that could just be saying they're left out. It could be as simple as saying that, they'll be left out. But,
But did you know in the Bible, it says the sun doesn't cast a shadow?
Mm-hmm. It says the sun doesn't cast
the true light.
Oh,
there's no casting shadow. So, okay, so with that, I know that's deep. I like what you're saying there.
And you know what comes to mind? I don't mean to interrupt you, but when I see orbs, they don't cast shadows either. When you see something with a third eye, they don't cast a shadow, because I've looked at that. I'm like, well, it's not really there, like physically there. I see it there, but it's not casting a shadow. It's not even creating a reflection off of things. So I've noticed this the more I see these orbs, and I'm like, it must be in my third eye, because it's not casting a shadow. That's actually what I think. It's not a reflection. It's not casting light on anything. It's just illuminating as an orb. So that's interesting.
That's very interesting. And then yet this shadowy, So, well, my big thing is like, I don't even know. Everything's a big deal to me. Like one word is so beautiful, because it's almost like I am, of course, reading it anew, because, the new creation that we are every day, we're a new creation. And, reading it in this newness and this light, it's very interesting. And I feel like what I love about God, the forgiveness and the whole plan and all the different languages we could use for saying that. But at the end of the day, even the fallen angels, even Lucifer, And I think of Ronnie and what she said about Lucifer coming to her, can still choose love. And that's a pretty amazing being. I mean, God is pretty amazing to where even through it all, and I almost feel like that, you know, with reading everything, you know how when you just kind of read everything and all of a sudden you have all these aha moments of it all coming together?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I feel like, oh gosh, wait, so there was heaven, you know, there was a war in heaven and all these things, and now I'm understanding, you know, the third of the angels were cast down, you know, but I just think that God loved his family, his parts of himself so much. And, you know, when I say himself, I mean, you know, the whole deity. I'm not saying he's a male, but, you know, go with me on this. So he, you know, he sent a plan to come and redeem the fallen angels. Like, I'm not just going to let you go. I'm going to come up with a plan. And you know what, Lucifer, and how it is, whether it just be our carnal mind, the man, whatever reason, at the end of the day, no matter how we look at it, we can choose love no matter what. Even like the man who was with all the legion, even though there were two of them, apparently, that he, no matter how many belief systems or thoughts or mind control or whatever you want to name a demon, addictions, he still had the choice to run out and choose love, no matter what. So I guess at the end of the day, the big best thing is, no matter what, all you got to do is choose love, even if you're the devil.
Right.
So it's like...
Well, that gets into the whole, what do they say, the unpardonable sin of blaspheming the Holy Spirit. I know that we've had hours and hours of discussions about what all that could mean, because, you know, that, you know, as a Christian, you're like, I don't want to do the one thing that, you know, disqualifies me for eternity, you know, so we would talk about that often, but that's another one to tackle, along with John 1:1 as well, because I was recently listening to Neville Goddard, and he was talking about the translation of he came and dwelt among us. That word among could actually mean in us, in that we are the Christ, you know, and the Christ is our power of imagination to create. And he had a whole different take on John 1:1 that really blew my mind. I was like, wait a minute, this, you know, and it just gets to translation again, you know, and then how it feeds into doctrine, and doctrine sort of backs up the translation, and then all of this stuff is built on it. I know I watched or I read the book from the same guys, Tim LaHaye, that did the whole Left Behind series. It was called Charting the End Times. And that book kind of like laid out how they came up with that whole end time scenario. And that was my first eye-opening experience, because as I read through that, and I'm like, wait a minute, you guys got all of this from a few of these scriptures? That's like reading so much into this. And I was just blown away. I'm like, oh my gosh, this could totally be I can come up with 20 different ways this could play out from those same scriptures that you guys have created this narrative around, you know? So you have to be careful. You have to, you know, if you don't really look into where people are coming up with stuff, it can really, I like the whole idea of Jesus going down and stealing the keys of death, hell, and the grave. I looked for that in the Bible forever, and I found out it's not even in the Bible. It's in the Apostles' Creed. And I'm like, what?
Well, no. Wait a minute. Yeah.
Yeah, if you can find it, I'm all down for it. But I think it was the Bible Answer Man. Have you ever watched that show? Listened to that show back in the day?
No, but I remember Jesus going down and to set the captive held free, or set the captives that were held, he set them free. And then I believe that's when the saints walked among, you know, after he was crucified, and the saints come out and walked among the people. The dead rose up.
Yeah.
Remember that?
And that was like the first resurrection, right?
Yes. And yes, it was actually. So now I remember, now I'm going to look that up, because I'm thinking, wait, no, I know that was in there. But, you know, to me, that goes along with what I'm saying. Jesus came to the earth to let us held captive, you know, the fallen angels, if you will. I don't think we're all fallen angels, but I do believe that's maybe how the whole thing started. how it all began and why it came about the way it has, because it's how much God loves us. Like, do you think of why did the demon say, "Cast me into swine"? And then is it just by chance that when the son came back to his father, he was eating with the swine, and he came to realization and remembered who he was, a child of God, which, that's paraphrasing, but he said, "In my father's house, I could be a servant."
Mm-hmm.
And he goes back, and his father rejoices because he came back. I mean, that's how I think it is if any of us turn to God or choose love. But imagine a fallen angel that was once by God's side. He came after him. Through Christ, I think that's what it means. He came down into the pits, into hell to set the captive free.
Well, when I Google it brings up Revelation 1:17-19, and when I saw him, I fell at his feet as dead, and he laid his right hand upon me, saying unto me, Fear not, I am the first and the last. That's our Alpha and Omega we're familiar with. 18 says, I am he that liveth and was dead, and behold, I am alive for evermore. Amen. And have the keys of hell and of death. And it says, write the things which thou hast seen, and the things which are, and the things which... Okay, so that's the closest I think we're going to find to the idea that he descended into hell and got the keys of death, hell, and the grave, like we hear about.
Is there any reference to that?
Let's see if this isn't really good about references all the time, so I wouldn't be so sure that it's not showing any on this particular one. Typically it would show it underneath it, but like the ones I looked up earlier, and it wasn't until I hit Matthew that it brought up the other two, but the other two didn't bring up Matthew. That's why I was sort of surprised that it was in Matthew, but I guess that little bit of a difference made it not come up. Super interesting.
Wow.
But I remember hearing about that on the Bible Answer, man. I hadn't really thought about, I just assumed it was in the Bible somewhere, and I just didn't notice it or something. But here all of these people are asking. That's Kenneth Copeland Ministries.
Now look up, set the captive free. Look up captive. So maybe we'll find it that way.
Okay, Jesus setting captives free. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, or just, captive, and see what you come up with there.
That's not bringing up any scriptures.
Timothy, liberated Christ. Liberated by Christ. Look, if you look up Luke 4:18, I'm going to look in 2 Timothy. It does seem like it's back in one of these. So I'll look in Timothy.
Okay.
2 Timothy.
And I'm going to look up Luke 4. Just trying to translate it. 4, and you said 15, did you say? Luke 4.
Let's see.
Maybe you said 18.
Did I? Luke 4:18, that's correct.
Okay, 4:18. Okay, yeah. So it says the Spirit. Okay, this is when they take the actual Greek words and translate it over. So it's going to read kind of funny, but the Spirit. All right, Spirit of Lord upon me, of which, because he has anointed me to preach good news to poor, he has sent me to heal the broken in heart, to proclaim to captives deliverance, and to blind recovery of sight, to send forth oppressed and deliverance.
Yeah, but that's not what we're looking for.
Set the captives free, though, right?
Yeah, set the captives free. He went down okay, so maybe it is maybe it's in the Gospels, where it says the saints arose and walked among the men. Oh, I bet I can find my reference if I look that up.
You know what? It probably is.
Book of Acts? Was that in the Book of Acts, or?
Well, you know what it probably is? It just made me realize, because this happens so much with the word hell. When I was doing a study into hell and what hell really was, and sometimes it was just translated hell, but it really meant the grave, like just being dead. So that could have been like he was in the grave for 3 days. You know, he was in the tomb for 3 days. That could totally be translated as he was in hell for 3 days. You know, the way they translate stuff.
That has no victory. Okay, so look up grave then, maybe.
Ascending to hell. Let's see. He descended into hell on the third day and rose again. 631 Jesus. Okay,
Where's that at?
The Vatican. Okay, I'm trying to see what scripture they're using. Yeah, let me see. Okay, yeah, no, it says right here, the Apostles' Creed. So the Bible answer man was right. Jesus descended into the lower parts of the earth. He who descended is he who. It's in the Apostles' Creed. It's not in the Bible.
But it's not in the scriptures? What?
No, and
does it have a reference?
Yeah, it gives references of Ephesians 4, 9 through 10.
Okay.
What else? Acts 3:15. Do you want to look at these, or let me see? It's quite a few of them. But it probably, since he says it right in the beginning, it's say 476. Okay, yeah, look at Ephesians 4, 9, and 10. But see, now we're here at Paul, and okay.
Now,
so
come on, brother. Oh, listen to this. Now that he ascended, but that he also descended first into the lower parts of the earth. He that descended is the same also that ascended up far above all heavens, that he might fill all things, and gave some apostles and so forth. Okay, all right, here's where, this is the scripture I wanted. But unto every one of us given grace according to the measure of the gift of Christ, wherefore he saith, when he ascended up on high, he led captivity captive and gave gifts unto men. Now that he ascended, what is it but that he also descended first into the lower parts of the earth? He that descended into the same also that he ascended up far above all heavens, that he might fill all things. Now, and then it's John 20:17. Touch me not, for I am not yet ascended to my Father, but go to thy brethren. Okay, so that's just reference to ascension, not descension.
Right. Okay, so, he descended. That word means
Colossians 2:15.
To go down, come down, either from the sky or from higher land, descend. Okay, so it just means descend.
To the lower parts of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
It just comes back to he came to earth. Earth was hell, and
soil. Okay,
where the angels.
Right. Well, the word for earth could be soil, by extension, a region, or the solid part, or the whole of the terrene globe. Tyranny globe. I'm not sure.
Terrenian.
Terrene. I'm not familiar with that word.
Terror?
Terrene. Terrene.
Terrene.
Yeah.
Huh.
It says primary word. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It says contracted from a primary word for soil.
So the grave could be the grave.
Yeah.
I mean, as you were saying before, that would make sense. Now,
and then the same word for descendant later on is exactly the same, just so we know. I double-checked it. In verse 10, it's still the same word for descendant, which means descend.
Well, then, in the freedom of judgment, and then in Colossians it says, and you being dead in your sins, blotting, in verse 14 of chapter 2, blotting out the handwriting of ordinances that was against us. Imagine that. Which was contrary to us, and took it out of the way, nailing it to the cross, and having spoiled principalities and powers, he made a show of them openly, triumphing, help me with that word, triumphing.
Triumphantly?
Triumphing,
Oh.
ing at the end. I can't get it out.
Oh, triumphing? Oh, triumphing.
Yes, I guess that's
Yeah.
how it is, triumphing. I just
Yeah,
I don't think I recognize that word.
Me neither. That could be a new one. I've seen some weird words.
Because I was getting ready to say triumphantly, like you. Let no man therefore judge you in meat or in drink or in respect of the holy day of the new moon or the Sabbath days. Okay. Which are the shadow of things to come in the body of Christ.
Okay,
I think the more... Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, you were way ahead of me on that one of the delay. I was just thinking that it might be helpful because, people are saying the same thing in the chat. Sorry, I missed the name of who said that, but the tomb, the grave, and I was just wondering if I can find where they found the empty tomb. Found empty tomb. I can see what that word is for tomb and see if it's also...
tomb. I can look that up also. So we're looking up the word tomb. This is fun.
To see if it's considered the empty tomb in Matthew 28. Okay, after the Sabbath, at the dawn of the week, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary went to look at the tomb. Okay, so we need Matthew 28, 1 through 10. Matthew. Okay, Matthew 28. Okay, let's see. The tomb, Taphon. Sepulcher, tomb, grave. A burial place.
Yeah, and then
so it's a different word than.
Yeah. Now what chapter? What word are we looking up for? What scripture are we looking up for that word?
I was checking it out in Matthew 28:1. That's where they translated as tomb, and the original Greek word is Taphon. Taphon.
Yeah, I have it as 23:29, and it's the same. Yeah, Taphos or Taphio, which is what you said. Mm-hmm. And then there's also is almost invariable rendered tomb or tombs, never grave. Sometimes sepulcher in the tomb in Matthew 8:28, but it says never grave.
Really? Because it says a burial place, sepulcher, tomb, grave, masculine from the thapto, a grave.
Now this is Matthew 8:28. We're talking about Matthew 8:28, right? Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or wait. No, this is. Oh, okay. You went back to Matthew 8:28. Okay. No, this is Matthew 28:1.
Okay.
Okay, so it's not a grave then.
Well, the word spelled, and it's hard, but it's spelled Mnemeeion. So it's different than the Taphos. There's 3 different meanings in the Greek for the word tomb. The first one is I can't pronounce these right. I mean, we need a translator. And see if speaking in tongues, if I could just call it in, I could speak Greek.
Do you do light language?
I have spoken tongues, but not meaning to. But I'm just saying, I would, like it says, what good is it? I mean, just let me hear it in my own language here.
Yeah.
So, Mnemeeion is one, which is almost invariable rendered tomb or tombs, and never grave.
Okay, yeah. Mine says a tomb, sepulcher, monument. That's interesting. And it says it's from the word nemi, a remembrance, i.e. cenotaph, CENOTAPH.
Yeah, that's the second one.
Oh, okay. Where's the first one?
The first one is the one I spelled out. Now, what's interesting is then a sepulcher is not necessarily a grave then.
Yeah.
It's probably the marking of a grave, right?
Oh, like a headstone or something, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what
So
they
it's
mean by
not
monument,
actually.
then.
Yeah. Yes.
I see.
So it's not never with the grave, okay? And then the second one, the one you're saying, Menema, is in Mark 5:35 in Luke, and that means sepulture. And then Taphos is sepulture. So we need to look up the word grave. Is what we need to look up.
And I do want to
because
mention
it's not-
while I'm looking at the interlinear on this Matthew 8:28 that when it says two, it's the only thing it could be translated as. Two, a primary numeral. So there was definitely two being possessed by demons out of the tombs, coming forth violent extremely, so that not was able anyone to pass by the way. Okay. Man, I've spent so many hours. I wish I had this back in the day. I used to have to flip through the book like you're doing way back, but.
Oh, but I love it. I
Yeah.
feel like when I'm flipping through the book, I'm like empowering myself not to depend on AI and modern technology. Like,
Yeah.
It's just like so to hold it in your hands.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, and you can smell the paper. I'm old
Mm-hmm.
school. I'm old fashioned.
I feel like I've been there and done that, I guess.
Right? I like it all, but I love that we can compare, though, right?
Yeah.
So, grave, the adjective for grave is simnos, and then we go back to the spelling is very close to grave. It's very close. It looks the same to me, but it says primarily denotes a memorial akin to magnomia, to remember, than a monument. So there again, that word grave could have, in Luke 11:47, is actually talking about a monument, a sepulture.
Wow. Yeah.
It's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, it really is.
So what about the grave clothes? What is that?
What scripture
All
are
right,
you in?
anywho. I'm actually just looking up the word grave in the Vine's Expository Dictionary.
I should probably.
So it's got all the scriptures. Yeah, it's got all
That
the
where it appears.
Yeah. Yeah. Then you got grave clothes, graven, and so you think of the graven images. But anyways, so to me, Jesus came down and even said to the earth, and I know it could be in the earth, it could be, or could it, to set the captive free. So the fallen angels, us, however you want to look at it, our mindset. We could look at it in so many different ways, but it pretty much is going to have the same ending, love wins.
Okay, I got to ask you something while I got you on here, because I've been wanting to ask you this since someone brought it up to me the other day. They brought up a minor prophet that I want to know if it's super familiar to you, if you've heard of it, or could it be a Mandela effect for you? Because, okay, so it's Nahum, Nahum. How familiar are you with?
What do you mean a minor prophet, and just saying a minor prophet in the Bible, one of the books, or just a minor prophet that existed?
Well, I mean that, you got the major books of the Bible, major prophet books of the Bible,
Right.
like Daniel and Ezekiel, and then you have the minor prophets like Hosea, Joel, Amos, Obadiah, Jonah.
Yeah, I do not remember that.
Nahum, Nahum.
No.
Okay, because they were like, well, when they brought it up to me, I'm like, man, it seems like I've seen it before, but I've been through the Bible so many times that it should be more familiar to me than it is. And so I decided that I was just going to go read it and see. But then I counted up the books of the Bible, and it still adds up to 66. So I'm like, did I get the download? Did it used to be 65? There's a lot of confusion surrounding this whole thing.
What do you mean it's all? No, I know it's 66 books of the Bible.
Right. And it still is. But that we've got this extra book. That's what I was I'm like, well, is it 67 now? Did they add one? Maybe they slipped one out.
Are you saying that this book, Nahum, Minor Prophet, is in the Bible now? There's a book?
Yeah,
What
and
are you
it's spelled
saying?
Nahum. It's between Micah
What?
and Habakkuk. Yeah, and I remember those two.
What? No, let me. No, what's it?
Wait a
What's
minute.
it say?
Zephaniah? That doesn't even sound. Zephaniah?
Now, Zephaniah does sound a little familiar. But then, think of everything with Naya on the end in the Bible.
Right, because there's Zechariah right after that.
Yeah, so that could just be a
Malachi.
trick. You know what I mean? On
Yeah,
a brain.
Obadiah.
Let me go back to my.
Do you have a Bible handy?
Here. Are you kidding me? You think I'd be talking about the Bible and not have it in front of me?
Well, just look at it and see if it's just. I want you to see how it's spelled and see how familiar
I
it
gotta
is.
look it up here. Okay, in sequence. Okay.
So it's between Micah and Habakkuk. So it's like after the major ones and right before the New Testament. Let's see, Malachi's the last one. Zechariah, Haggai.
Oh my gosh! It says it right here. It's there, and it's 991. Okay. Now I'll remember if I read a story out of it. Maybe I should know that. I used to teach Sunday school. You have to remember all those songs.
Baruch is a book in the Bible? Wait a minute. Okay,
what?
so somebody's saying Baruch.
All right,
I
one
don't
thing
see
at
it
a
here.
time, brother.
Yeah, you're
No.
overwhelming us,
Okay.
people.
Oh my gosh. So this is going to blow your mind.
Okay.
So I actually have some of the book of Nahum, whoever it may be. I got things in parentheses in my own writing. So go figure that.
Okay, I know.
I have marked the burden of Nineveh, the book of the vision of Nahum, the Elikushite. God is jealous, and the Lord revengeth, and is furious. The Lord will take vengeance on his adversaries, and he reserveth wrath for his enemies. The Lord is slow to anger, and great in power, and will not at all acquit the wicked. The Lord hath his way in the whirlwind and the storm, and the clouds are the dust of his feet. Now, why would I have parenthesized that? And I'm telling you, I did not know this. I do not remember this book.
What about a few over from that? What did I say it was? Let me go back and see if I can open it.
Habakkuk, I do remember.
Yeah, that one, but
Zephaniah, I remember.
Okay. That to me seems not as familiar.
But like I said, it could just be because of the ending, Anaya, because that's on a lot of, it's just a familiar. I don't have anything marked in this one.
Nothing in Zephaniah?
Yeah, I don't have anything marked in Zephaniah in this timeline.
You gotta love it, Did you know there's an extra chapter in Daniel that you can go read now? Because Daniel,
What?
Yeah, it's not in the Bible, of course. You have to go kind of find it or whatever. But Daniel, I want to say there's only 12. Yeah, there's only 12. But you can actually go read this 13th chapter that they found in I don't know, it was either the
I think I
Dead
remember
Sea
you
Scrolls.
telling me this before, but I didn't read it because it wasn't in the Bible.
Right.
But no, I read a lot of things outside the Bible, just so everyone knows. But it's like when I'm getting my mind blown, I mean, like this, this whole new book that's popped up. But okay, so you say there's still 66 books.
Yeah, so I'm trying to figure out.
Do we have one that's missing now?
That's what I was wondering. It would definitely be one of the minor prophets if I missed one. Because they're so small, you kind of go through them really fast when you're reading through them. I mean, some of them are only a few pages. So I was sitting there thinking, I can't be sure. It's not. I wouldn't put it in my 100% category because there is something familiar about it. Even the Zephaniah, there's something familiar about it. But I don't know. How many? Let's see how big Zephaniah is. Is it just one chapter? There's 3 chapters. See, I could have missed it. I could have just breezed through it so quickly that...
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't... I'm real careful not to put anything in the 100% Mandela effect category unless I'm 100% sure. So, but I thought it was worth bringing it up to you, and I thought about a few people. Like I wanted to bring it up with Go-Kart Bob. I think he's here. I don't know. See what do you think, Go-Kart Bob? Is that new to you, or are you familiar with that? Or
yeah.
Then he's kind of newer to the Bible too. Like so, it's been years since I've really delved into it. Well, just like within the last few years, I don't think he was like a lifelong Bible reader, if I remember right. Is that right, Go-Kart Bob? I don't even speak about you. But 50, and and then the Catholic Bible, I remember when I found out it had all these other books, like the Maccabees, and they got like 6 other books in the Bible, right?
Yeah, I don't know because it wasn't King James, so I never did. Like, but, and then I remember though, at a time reading, and I was studying with one of my study sisters, and boy, we did the same thing we're doing right now. I mean, we would just pick it apart, but she would have, she had the interlinear Bible. It was like $160, so I never did get that one. But I had the Greek Expository Dictionary. We had it all laid out, different versions. And there came up on a part to where we both set the book down and just stared at each other because we had discovered that we were God. By reading it. We looked at each other, and I said, I can't say it out loud. She said, I can't either. And we just looked at each other in silence of, like, this is wrong, how could we come to this conclusion? And then there was also a missing book. It talked about a missing book, and I think it was in Timothy. In Timothy, it says there's a missing book in the Bible.
Yeah.
And then we looked at each other, and I'm like, well, then that means the Bible's not complete.
Right.
And it's, and it's not the perfect Word of God. So then I think we both kind of like freaked each other out when we studied together. We were like, whoa.
I love those tough questions, though. I felt like I was just always drawn to the questions that other people seem to brush over. I'm like, wait, how can you just brush over this? I looked it up. Okay, that's where somebody mentioned there's a book called Baruch. It's one of the 7 books. Okay, so 66 plus 7. So there's actually 73, I guess, in the Catholic Bible, and they consist of the books Tobias, Judith, Baruch, Ecclesiasticus, Wisdom, and then 1st and 2nd Maccabees. Also certain additions to Esther and Daniel. Maybe that's that 13th chapter you can find.
Wow.
In the Catholic Bible.
I have it. Somebody gave me that, the extra books. And I haven't, I don't know if I read it. I don't recall reading it. Then again, I could pick it up and see lots of notes in it from a different timeline. Because I was looking like, I didn't even know that book existed. I know it didn't. I'm looking at it, and then I have things in parentheses.
So deuterocanonical, that's a hard word, deuterocanonical books, from the Greek word meaning belonging to the 2nd canon. So there was the extra books that were added by the Catholic Church, because they were responsible for the 1st canon too, at the Council of Nicaea. That's when they actually changed the Sabbath to Sunday. I was in the Seventh-day Adventist for a while, and they make a pretty good case for the fact that Rome changed the Sabbath to Sunday and so forth. I mean, that's, to me, it's not a huge issue anymore, but for them, some of the people in the Seventh-day Adventists actually lay out this case for, and I think it's pretty effective, although I don't subscribe to it, but they do make a case really good that the people that celebrate the Sabbath on the proper day have the in Revelations it talks about the seal of God on their forehead. Those are that keep his original law, but then those who do on Sunday have the mark of the beast, right? So I was like, oh my gosh.
Holy biscuit and gravy, that's what they're saying? Now, to me, I always knew that Saturday used to be the Sabbath day, like studying that out, but Sunday's the first day of the week, right?
Right. Yeah.
So Saturday would make it the ending. But yeah, that one of the new things of the holy priesthood, and the only two things that changed, right, with the Ten Commandments was the Sabbath day, correct? Every day is the Sabbath day.
Right, and there's been the counter
with the holy priesthood, which is under Jesus,
under the new law. But so I don't know. There's that whole, and I don't know. They lay it out in a way that because they talk about how at the time that Caesar, was it Caesar? Let's see, Council of Nicaea. Was it Caesar? I can't remember who the Roman dude was at the time, but yeah, I think it was Caesar, right? No, gosh, who was it? Who's the guy who fought under the sign of the cross and all that? He had his conversion. Anyway, the Seventh-day Adventists point out
not
how
Josephus, but
I can't remember the name, but it was the Roman leader at the time that had his conversion experience into Christianity, and he merged the pagan beliefs, like Sunday worship of the sun, S-U-N, sun, with Christianity, and that's why we have this merging with Christmas is really, originally a pagan holiday. It's not really Jesus's birthday.
Yeah, it was, because even in the book of Isaiah, it says they used to bring a tree in and nail it down and put candles on it. And I wouldn't have a Christmas tree for the longest time because it was a pagan tradition.
Right. So there's like all this.
I mean, yeah. And then like the whole rabbit thing, and it was to the goddess of Easter.
Constantine. Thank you so much. Yeah, it was Constantine.
I love
didn't
our
have it right.
group.
Yeah. Yep, 321, 321, the countdown. So yeah, okay, so the Constantine, that's definitely who it was. I knew it was a C, but that wasn't right. I was thinking render under Caesar. I'm like, no, that's a different one. So yeah, so Doug Batchelor is the Seventh-day Adventist guy that he used to have Amazing Facts show or whatever. Awesome information. He's the one that talks about, actually he talked about how hell was just non-existent, and how it wasn't, like he used the scripture of the dead know nothing, and that people ceased to exist, and hell wasn't. He's the one that helped me get out of the whole idea of, eternal damnation and fire and torment and suffering, was when I was in the Seventh-day Adventist, studying under him. But Doug Batchelor is awesome for all of that information, although I don't subscribe to all of the beliefs. I think he does a great job with that. But he pointed out, he says, the pagans all got baptized, and all they did was they came up wet pagans after they were baptized. So it was just kind of a funny way of looking at it.
Yeah, it's so true. No, I mean, I was taught the same way. Like in studying, and the thing is if you really study it, you're going to come to that conclusion on your own, like just by reading it. Like by reading the Bible, I discovered there was no hell. And the meaning, now I would say Lucifer and all of this, and even with Lucifer, Ronnie blew my mind that time when she talked about that vision or whatever she had with Lucifer. And please go back and listen to it, everyone. I don't want this to get taken out the wrong way. But she, thinking about that, like I thought about it. Sometimes I've wondered if I've been a fallen angel before I even thought about all this. Like, how I said it's all coming together. Because how among our tribe we have all these people with these gifts that can see orbs, that can heal with their hands, that can speak light language. Like, there's all these juicy gifts, right? But not everyone has them. But then they say, they're there for you to glean. Well, I think a gift is, you don't have to practice or learn it. Like, if, like some people can just pick up a musical instrument and they can hear music. They don't have to read music. That's
exactly.
A gift.
Yeah, I play by ear too, like that. It's just always been.
Right.
I definitely played instruments in previous lives because it was just. And you see little kids doing this, like getting on the piano, and you're like, what? How do they know how to do that? But they clearly have some background with it. So there are gifts, and and maybe it's just that it's available to all of us. But for some of us, it comes more naturally. So maybe some of us can do music much easier, and then for others, maybe it'd take them 10 or 15 years of really practicing and trying really hard to achieve something. But I think maybe it's available to all of us, but for some things they come easier. And I think that could be on the physical plane with playing instruments or art and that sort of thing, and with spiritual gifts as well. So maybe we can all be clairvoyant or telepathy, all these sorts of like healing gifts, but maybe it's just easier for some than others, you know.
Or they just say it's the vibration at that time, or maybe it's the, like, you know, that love in our hearts or that desire in that moment in time of being wholehearted and, you know, with it. But I know we've been kind of all over the place tonight, but it's been so much fun. I love all this conversation, and then, you know, how we come to a conclusion. No, why? Because it's how we roll.
Yeah. But you know what? I enjoy that because we've been taught that you need to jump on board. You need to make a choice. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And I think that's a lie. I don't think you have to always make a choice about something. In fact, sometimes it's limiting, because as soon as you make a choice about one thing, you're ruling out everything else, you know, as even being a possibility. So that's sort of my whole unbiased and on the fence philosophy, is that you expand and you grow so much more when you realize you don't know anything, you know. And it's so hard for people to be honest with themselves about that. You know, all I really trust are my experiences. And with those experiences, I still think, you know, I see it this certain way, but that might not even be, I know the experience was real. Like the whole Mandela effect, for instance. I know something's happening, and I've got ideas about what it is. But with those things, I'm not dead set on it. I do know it's happening. I have that experience of knowing things are changing in a seemingly impossible way. And I think it's this great awakening. That's what I feel like. But I also know that I could be completely wrong with that. I'm not 100% about anything like that, except for what I remember, like The Thinker or whatever. I know 100% what it was like, but I can't even be sure that wasn't downloaded into my mind or something, you know?
Yeah, and that's another thing too. It's like with everything that is put into our minds, I feel like, yeah, we do have control in my experience. However, I have been more aware of my thoughts before I go to sleep, because I can close my eyes and I'll start seeing pictures of a bunch of different things, like faces and everything. And I do it more now than I used to, but I kind of remember doing it before. And you do? Okay. Well, then
that's called, if you ever want to look into it, it's called hypnagogic images, or some people pronounce it hypnagogic images.
If I can't pronounce it, I ain't got it, brother.
Well, actually, we're going to get more into this with Monday's guest, Albert Taylor, because he's all about that stuff. And we even had a guest on that was talking about hypnagogic images. But yeah, it's amazing, because it's like you're tapping into the stream of it. You can tell it's not your own mind. You can tell it's not like memories. You can tell, like one time I got a really clear image of this like outdoor event. I could tell it was police officers and firemen that were like at like a outside fair barbecue, sort of just for policemen and firemen, but they had their families there. Not everybody was dressed in like this is probably one of the clearest ones. Most of the time it's like I'm seeing signs driving down the road, little clips and fast moving images and stuff like that. But with this one, I was watching some event and I'm like, what am I looking at here? What am I seeing? Is this happening now? And I was just amazed, because you could see some people were dressed in their police or their fireman uniform, kids with their dad's fire cap or, you know, helmet on and stuff like that. I got so clear of an image of some kind of outdoor event, you know what I mean? And I was like, what the heck am I seeing? So I know it wasn't from my mind. I've never been to anything like that. And I got enough detail from that one time that I knew I was getting a stream of some kind of information from somewhere, and I didn't know what it was from, but it does happen.
And where is it? So you're saying that it's collective then? Is that what, and then I should listen to the show, but for me, I've also, both. I've done both. I've tracked it now to where if I can, I'll write it down. And it's kind of hard to write it down because I'm like, it's just an image. What am I going to write down? Well, I saw sirens. I saw this or that. But then as I started doing that, I could track some of it back to my subconscious mind.
Right.
And it could be things from a few days before that, or and just passing by, not observing, like something on TV, not observing like I'm watching that, but a glimpse or something on social media or whatever. So that to me was very interesting, because I'm thinking, my gosh, I mean, it's like a programmed mind for real. And even Jesus in the Bible, it says, renew your mind, your mind. So that kind of blows me away, because I'm thinking, oh my goodness, we really are programmable. But then I lay that aside thinking, oh, and we're having glitches. And then I could go even further and thinking, we're having glitches, and now I'm always like, I got to lay down, I got to get my download, because it just cracks me up. I don't even know. What am I saying? Am I a robot? I don't think in that. I don't think it's robotic, but it's AI implanting things also. So what's interesting to me is why, and I'm glad you brought this up and you have a guest coming on about it, because some of the things I can't track or make sense of. Right. Some of it I can. Discerning it.
Yeah, well, for a while when I would get the random video, it seems like you get pictures and sometimes it's video footage, so sometimes it's just pictures. I thought maybe it was like, as you're driving down the road and you're seeing signs and things like that, it was sort of getting all that out of your brain or something. But when I got that specific one that I just mentioned with the policeman and the fireman or whatever, and then I got another one where I was looking at this archway, and it was like, it could have been in another third world country where it was more sandy and old Jesus times looking. So that was one of the ones that I thought, maybe this is something old. Maybe I'm tapping into something, or maybe it was a movie and I didn't remember the scene in it, but it was like an archway to like a city, and I saw a little kid playing and running by the opening on the other side, and it's like, what the heck am I looking at here? So I've had a few instances where it didn't feel like it came from my mind, but I still couldn't rule out that maybe it was a scene from a movie or something, and I just don't remember the specifics of it. But with the firemen and the policemen get together thing, I saw so much of it for so long that it didn't feel like it was from a movie. It felt like I was really seeing something, and it was alive, it was moving, it was a video.
Yeah, a video. Yeah, I totally get what you're saying. Now this is before I go to sleep. So I'm not asleep.
Right.
I'm closing my eyes. Like I don't even have to be lying down to do it. I can close my eyes and just start seeing this. So I'm interested in what this is, and I totally get what you're saying about the length of it. So for me, a lot of it is flashes, but there have been, like what you're saying, almost a video.
Well, that's interesting because now I'm starting to think of my talk with Cynthia a few days ago, and there was an incident at this last Mandela Effect conference where someone bilocated, and one of the people were in a theta state. So when you're going to sleep and your brain's dropping from, beta to alpha to theta, that's like you're hitting that spot where maybe you're bilocating and you're going around and you're looking at something that is really there, and your consciousness leaves you and it's sort of looking in on this, you know what I mean? I mean, that could totally be it. Like you're just sort of out of body.
Yeah, and it's just like so fast though. Like I get what you're saying. Yeah, I mean that's a possibility. I'm open to that. But
so do you do that a lot?
Excited to hear that. I noticed it more lately than usual. Like, is it because I'm more aware and noticing and trying to make note of and like actually take a moment and say,
yeah, you're asking all the same questions.
What is going on?
Yeah. Okay, so this was my idea when this started happening more and more. Okay, so I got this app that is voice activated, because what I would typically do is end up falling asleep, and then the next day I'm like, I remember this and this, but gosh, I fell asleep and everything kind of got foggy. So I got this app that's voice activated, and I would lay there, and as I saw what I was seeing, I would say it. So I was kind of like giving myself a BQH session, kind of, So I'm like laying there, I'm like, okay, I see this weird Pepsi emblem. And then what I typically would end up doing is thinking, that's not important, I won't say that, and then I'll fall asleep. So it's hard for me to keep up the importance of it because you're just so tired at that point when you're getting it that it's hard to keep talking and saying what you're saying, and then you start ruling things out as being irrelevant. I'm like, why do I keep ruling things out as being irrelevant? I should say what I see no matter what it is. But so I'm just telling you, maybe see if you can try to do that, you know, because you did go in a really deep state too in your BQH session.
Mhm. And it seems like I don't know. But what I'm trying to say is, like, I can be on break, a 15-minute break at work, and just close my eyes and see it. Like, I'm not even, I can just close my eyes and start seeing this stuff. And it's not that I'm trying to meditate. I'm trying to do anything but close my eyes and rest them, you know, from being in front of a computer. And it'd just be flashes of things. And some I'll, you know, I'm with you, like, am I going to say voice activated, just start rambling on things that I'm seeing.
Right.
Dog running across the street, bluebird, hey, blue roses, what's that? You know what I mean?
Right.
So, because it's pretty fast. But then in my dreams, I don't always remember my dreams, but some of them have been real significant lately. Speaking of blue roses, I was picking these beautiful blue roses, and it was in my old homestead of my childhood backyard. And you know, what does that mean? I don't know, but it was significant, you know, blue roses. But yeah, I should try to do that voice activated thing so I can, like you said, when I'm closing my eyes, when I'm home, just speak out loud. But I'm wondering if that would stop. I don't know if saying it would stop it. I don't know. I'll certainly try. I have no idea what it means.
Yeah, it doesn't stop it. I thought my problem is the talking gets overruled over the visions, or the you know, the what you're seeing doesn't stop, but you'll stop talking and then end up either, well, for me anyway, falling asleep. But they do say that, you know, when you close your eyes, you immediately go from alpha to beta. Let me think which order it is. Beta to alpha. Just simply closing your eyes, your brain waves drop into a lower state.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So you might be dropping all the way down to theta instead of beta or alpha or whatever it is.
Well, you know,
mix up the orders.
So, but is it theory, like, is it with this name that you called it, which is a big long name, but is
hypnagogic images.
I wish you could shorten that, but whatever. Okay. So what are they? What are they saying that is? Is it like a collective thought system, or should I just wait to be continued?
Oh, let me see what the hypnagogic.
Because my thing is sometimes I'm thinking, are these the things that AI or the powers that be, or 5G? You know, I got a little bit of conspiracy in me, you know, thinking about things. Are they downloading these images into me? Am I getting downloads? And why am I not, you know, when I receive a download, a quiver in my liver, we've talked about this, or the, you know, twitching of my nose, that it's something spiritual of truth. Well, I'm not always receiving that. Some of it's pretty beautiful, but, you know, I'm not saying it's good or evil. But it is without emotion.
Yeah, it is. It's just that you're observing. Okay, so here's the sort of, this comes from Medical News Today. This is how they define it. What are hypnagogic hallucinations, they call them. Hypnagogic hallucinations are imagined sensations that seem very real. They occur as a person is falling asleep and are also referred to as sleep hallucinations. The term hypnopompic describes the period when a person wakes up. Hypnagogic defines the period when a person falls asleep. A hallucination is anything that can be sensed but is not real. Of course they're going to say that. Hallucinated smell, taste, vision, or sound is only experienced in a person's mind and not by others. Hallucinations that occur around sleep have fascinated scientists, writers, and philosophers for many centuries. Research about their causes and link to dreams is ongoing.
But yeah, that's just another one of their setups, just because all these things are happening to people, so they have to write it off as, okay, so now you're hallucinating. Okay, and if I am, why am I then?
Yeah, of course it's saying
And
treatment for this, and it's a sleep
yeah.
disorder and all this I'm reading. So, yeah, they don't look at it as a gift. In fact, anything that's out of the norm. That's why I say that, just, I don't know. I say be careful with what you mention. Because
I don't have to be, because the doctor I go to is an Amish herbalist. So now I went to the doctor and had some blood work done recently, just because I was feeling so tired and whatnot. And so because I got this good insurance, it's supposed to pay 100% for wellness visit.
Mm-hmm.
Guess how much they charged my insurance company? I still had to pay $111. No kidding. Okay, out of my pocket. $900 is what they charged my insurance company. She took my blood pressure, and a nurse came in and drew blood and ran a scan. And I called in to get my blood work. There was nothing out of the ordinary, anything I needed to worry about, she said. So I just got copies of it. I never even saw her for that.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking back to the Amish herbalist. Like, this is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't share. You live and learn and know what you're going to share and not share. But they're just going to give you drugs to numb it.
Yeah, and that's the problem. If there are gifts coming online, you don't want to do that.
Yeah. Or you got one waking up. We need to put them back to sleep.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Like, they're all. I could go crazy thinking about that. But
well, that's what Sherry.
Working at Citibank.
Well, Sherry, she works in the medical field. She said she's read charts of people coming in that client says they see white and blue balls. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they're seeing orbs and they're putting them on medicine. And I was like, oh my gosh, how many of us in the community are beginning to see these orbs? And if we go and tell our doctor about it, they're going to want to send us to a psych facility and put us on drugs. So that's...
Yeah, and the thing is, it's like, most of us are so kind-hearted and loving people. Like, everyday people are, won't believe that about you. Like, they may say, oh, she's a little flaky, she ate one too many mushrooms or something like that, and make it just
acid flashbacks.
Yeah, and the thing is, I'm just so straight and narrow. It's just not a possibility. But it doesn't matter. I do think that we are, even the Bible says awake sleeper. What does it mean, awake sleeper? If we wasn't asleep, from what? And then they have to come up with something to keep us down, but it's not going to work because it's impossible for it to. There's too many awakened beings now. You look at the vaccinations, immunizations, all of that. The pharmaceutical company is going down as soon as they want, as soon as money's involved, money talks with this energy, and it's all changing for the good. So I just hold on to that because I'm thinking the money's going to be in natural healing, so it's going to flip. Now, is it going to be, now you're going to have insurance and things like that are still going to be at play because they still want to make their money, but we're going to have it. We're going to have it available. The only thing is will it be the true thing? That's my thing. Like herbs, I think everyone needs to just grow your own because you don't know. Even if you buy herbs from other people, you really don't know what you're getting. You're going by what they tell you.
Right. Yeah, and even at some of the, the whole food type markets and stuff, you still have to be careful there. I mean, you can't just go in there and blindly buy stuff and feel like you're safe because I heard that even that's been infiltrated by products that aren't what you would expect to see in a place like that. But all of this has led me back to Joel. I know you're probably familiar with the scripture in Joel 2:28. I just looked it up. And it shall come to pass afterward that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and daughters shall prophesy. Your old men shall dream dreams. Your young men shall see visions. I mean, is this what's happening? Because I don't remember hypnagogic images as a child, but I'm getting them all the time now. You know, and I'm kind of an old man. You know?
You're not. We're
Am I dreaming dreams?
seconds. You know, well, yeah, and I remember that too. And now, see, the Pentecostal church, the Holiness Church, I know, which you experienced some of too. So this wasn't so far-fetched for them.
Right.
You know, if somebody had a vision, everyone wanted to hear, you know, and you think of the Native Americans, they would always have visions. Now, I personally, and my truth and my experience, choose not to do any mind-altering, even herbs, to enhance my experience with visions and dreams. I don't feel I need it. And not only that, I don't want to be subject to anything that would be distracting. Why? Why would I need that? We have divinity within. I don't need any, and I make jokes about mushrooms and stuff, but I don't need to take mushroom tea or anything else to have a spiritual experience. And actually, I probably wouldn't trust it. It would just put doubt in my mind. Like, was that really my message? Or, because it was mind-altering. And actually, mind-altering drugs and prescriptions is actually where the word witchcraft comes from. Pharmacia, pharmaceutical,
or whatever. Yeah.
Pharmacia, and it means mind-altering. So it could be herbs or drugs, any mind-altering substance. So it's not just prescription mind-altering; it's any mind-altering. Then we think, well, you can alter your mind with breathing, but come on, that's more of getting in tune with the vibration. You're ingesting the breath of God. That's definitely going to alter, but it's not a drug.
Right.
Or an herb. It's the energy. This has been so much fun. I love to study with you, brother, and everyone.
I know. It reminds me of the good old days when me and my best friend would go through the Bible and talk about stuff. Of course, we were smoking weed and stuff like that, and having fun with it and stuff. But I've always been adventurous, so I didn't like do LSD all the time, but I wanted to at least try it a few times. And same way with DMT. I've just always been an explorer in that way. But yeah, I feel like we don't need that stuff to really connect, and we don't want to have to rely on anything like that. But I think it's great to take a peek under the hood every now and then, and just sort of, not even every now and then, but I mean in the past. I don't feel like I even need to do it now. I don't feel like it's beneficial. I feel like at this point I want to learn to do stuff naturally with no drugs at all.
Yeah,
but I still do caffeine.
Within.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that is, we think a stimulant. It's a physical stimulant. I guess it does alter. It can alter your mind somewhat, but you're not hallucinating.
Right.
I think it even says that with that mind altering, it does use the word hallucinating drugs or whatever. But and then you can microdose. I'm not down in anything natural, family. Like I think CBD oil, marijuana, everything's great. But there's a difference between microdosing and getting to the point where you hallucinate. This is what I'm talking about.
Right.
A lot of people are microdosing with the mushrooms, and it's helping them with depression, but they're microdosing. They're using it as a medicine, not as a drug or a hallucinogen. So that's just an opinion. It doesn't matter. It works for me. That's all that matters. I don't, each to their own, but I'm interested in what's going on with the spiritual realm and, my mission. And I know I chose to come to Earth, but my mission, I feel, is just now unfolding. It's all coming together. And it is, to choose love, it sounds so like, just choose love. But it's a really huge deal in every moment and situation. And
it's really quite simple, It really breaks it down to a very simple point. Yeah.
Yeah. Even everything you do, like I work at a call center for Citibank, and a lot of people, financial institution, all this. Yeah, I'm right in the mix of it. But guess what? All the time, like even a call today, the guy said at the end, he goes, "Thank you, for your help," and like my pleasure. And it really is. I have fun with people. I'm helping them apply for loans and opening accounts, and so it's fun. It's the fun part of it. And he said, Jesus loves you. And I'm like, and I love Jesus. So it's like, you know, and then I had one guy on there say, can I pray with you? So it's not, I mean, it's any, you know, it doesn't matter where you're at. The kingdom of love is all around us, too. It's not just about the other things that I see, the power, the hunger, the, you know, all of that is there also. But in the midst of all that, there's all these people who have nothing but love, and, you know, they're trying every day to just to be love and light.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Yeah,
pretty
I
powerful.
agree. Yeah, I often think there's like love sleeper cells all over the world. You know what I mean? People just waiting to be activated and brought to life. I mean, really good people that are just kind of keeping to themselves because, you know, you watch the news and you think everybody out there's out to rob you and shoot you and all this stuff. So they're kind of huddled in on their own. But as soon as we can get this thing going and just the love just shining, and they're all going to come to life, you know, in a bigger way, I think. It's gonna be a snowball
And
effect.
it's happening. It's happening. It's like I really feel like we're seeing it so much because it's, I mean, I can feel the change and I can see the change all around me. I mean, obviously we can see everything changing before our eyes. Even when we close our eyes, I'm seeing things. So
I'd be interested to find out what you can get off of this app, you know, just see if you can keep it up, and especially if you can do it in the daytime and just kind of close your eyes. If you can do it like on your day off and you're at home and you close your eyes, just say what you see, and I don't know, it could be you're tapping into, it could be that you're in a theta state and you're bilocating and you're looking somewhere else. That would be interesting. I mean, you might pop in. It's sort of like a, what do they say, remote viewing? You could be like remote viewing in a very real way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, as long as I'm not like, you know, I don't freak myself out. It's hilarious because, you know, I'm like, I think I'm this powerful person who's not afraid of anything, but I am. Because, example, I had a dream. I've been wanting my Aunt Rosie's biscuit recipe, and I've even asked a medium for it, like at the health fairs, you know. Yeah, can you tell me, tap in, ask Aunt Rosie her recipe to make biscuits. She made the best biscuits. And one night in my dream, I got the whole recipe, but I don't remember it. What I remembered was the secret ingredient was sour cream. And so then I, you know, looked it up, you know, sour cream biscuits or whatever, and kind of did my own thing with that. But I got to tell you, they're the best biscuits ever. So Chris and I are sitting at the dinner table, and then I made a cobbler using pretty much the same recipe, but I made the cobbler out of it. So we're sitting at the dinner table, and I said, Aunt Rosie, I just got to let you know, I got to tell you, you think my cobbler's better than yours. And Chris says, he's like ducking down, he goes, I'm waiting for the lights to go out, you know. And I went upstairs. I'm not kidding you. I went upstairs because upstairs is like my little dressing room, if you will, you know. I go up there to get my night clothes on, the lights go out. I'm not even joking. Oh, yeah, I'm so brave. I screamed at the top of my lungs, Chris, come and get me! You know, like...
Wait. What did he do? I mean, did he flip the breaker? He could have flipped the breaker on you. Was he messing with you? Are you sure he wasn't?
I know, right? No, he wasn't, because it was hilarious. And it came right back on. And,
That's totally what I would have done. That's why I said that. I would have totally done that and flipped the breaker and like just upstairs, flip.
That would be good. But
I couldn't have helped myself.
Actually, I think that the breakers are down in the cellar, actually. Here. This is an older house. It ain't like that breaker box like what we used to. But, yeah, I know he didn't. But it was hilarious because then I'm thinking, yeah, I'm the brave one. Like, I can be in touch with spiritual things. No, as soon as something like that happens, I'm the biggest wimp. That's why they probably can't reveal themselves to me, because I would pass out.
Yeah.
And then there was a spider, and, you know, my thing was spiders, so I didn't want to kill the spider. It was on the sink, the bathroom sink. And I'm talking to it, and it's kind of a scary-looking one. They're all scary, really. It's a bigger one, and I'm like, look, you just do your thing, I'll do mine, and we'll stay out of each other's way, right?
Yeah.
And was there for a couple of days, and it would go back behind the plant and come back out. Well, one day when I was in there, I don't know if I was brushing my teeth or what, that spider ran and jumped as if it was going to jump on me. Of course, I screamed bloody murder, and it landed on the floor, and it took off running the other way. Because I'm like, hello, brother spider, but it was going to jump on me. It jumped off the scene.
You're showing it too much love. It's like, hey, she likes me. Let's go visit.
I know, and I'm like, no. I mean, it was hilarious. So I'm like, really, I'm a big wimp. But as far as the vision thing and closing my eyes, that doesn't scare me at this point.
Yeah, but
Not
and I'm
unless I
right with
open
you.
them.
I imagine if I'm sitting here at my computer and I imagine like looking over and there's like a gray or even a human-looking alien or extraterrestrial, non-terrestrial, whatever you want to call them, standing right there, I can't picture a scenario where I don't kind of freak out about it, you know? Because I mean, I've seen the shadowy and the light things and the orbs. I think it's just important that we're eased into it, you know?
Yeah. Now, the orbs don't bother me at all. We see them. Now, Chris even sees those and takes pictures of them, and that doesn't bother me. And I know the spiritual realm is right here with us, but it's like I don't need to see it or any creepy things to happen, even though it's kind of a beautiful connection. But for me, it's like, no, nah, it's okay. I'm good with that. I don't really want experiences like that. If I saw a gray alien, like I remember watching it on TV, like What to Do when people were getting abducted, they say if it's a gray alien, just start laughing and go, you know, acting all crazy, and then they leave. I wouldn't do that. I would want to, but I'd be screaming to the top of the line, no, don't touch me. But I don't want to see an alien. I really don't. I mean, what if I am one? I'm probably looking at one in the mirror.
Right. Yeah, it's way different than a different race of a human, you know what I mean? I wouldn't have any problem with anybody that looked like me, but maybe a different race or something. But if they came down and, or even if they were like Worf on Star Trek, where they had a funny looking forehead, but they're pretty much the same. I don't know. I want to be eased into it. I want to be honest with you. I don't know.
Yeah. What if it's like the Predator, but they're real loving? Oh my gosh! And you and you invite them over for dinner, and you're sitting at the table, and you're saying your prayers, and all of a sudden it opens its mouth, and oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not. You know, I'm pretty cool where I'm at. Like.
Well, I
like,
think the way it's.
Really think about it.
I think the way it's going to unfold is we're going to see them with our third eye first, because that's sort of like, you know, you'll see like one popping out around the corner and kind of being playful about it. The same way with the little Bigfoot things. It's more like you see them in your mind, so it's not as scary as seeing them in the physical. But I would definitely want to go through the transition. I think everything's playing out just like it should, and I don't want to disrupt the way things are going, because I feel like my higher self and God, the Holy Spirit, knows me better than I do. So I'll be unlocked as I need to be at the speed I need to be.
Yeah, I totally trust that too, like all jokes aside. But at the same time, I'm not going to, you know, God does know me in the way I'm made and knows that I will freak out. Just so you know, God, I'll freak out. I will freak out. But at the same time, I want it to happen because it's exciting and juicy and proves there's so much more, you know. But, of course, if we're writing this book, we could totally script it out to where they are, you know, beautiful and look, you know, as we would think, just easy on the eye, you know, easy on the eyes.
I think one thing that'll help is if you actually prepare yourself, you really imagine it. That's how I know because for a while I'd be like, I wouldn't be scared, but when I really thought it out and really played it out in my mind, I'm like, oh, yeah, that would freak me out. Why did I think it wouldn't, you know? So I think the more we realize they're there, and it's almost like, you know, you'll believe it when you see it, you'll see it when you believe it, sort of, you know, the flip of that idea. I think the more that you can wrap your head around what you think is really going on, then you allow yourself to see more. Because I've been seeing, like, craft with my third eye and things like that now that I never thought I'd be able to. I didn't, and it's real gentle, you know, it's like, am I seeing that? What am I seeing? You know, and it kind of go away and come back and you're just not sure. And so I think that's sort of how you have to be eased into it.
Yeah, that makes sense too, because I get what you're saying. And you know what's interesting is I totally believe it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't need to see it because I really believe it already.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's kind of like I don't need to see God because I believe. I don't need to see, I don't know, I just know it. Am I knowing?
Mm-hmm.
But as much as I know that, I also know that there's a cosmic force out there, and like even like with cosmic agency, and that makes sense to me how she speaks. And what is it from Tegeta? What was the little gal's name, or big gal, whatever that she had communication
Swaru.
with?
Swaru was the actual
Yes.
extra, or the non-terrestrial, and then Gosha was the person that has the channel.
Well, no, Gosha has the channel, but
Right.
Saru was the ET, right?
Right. Yeah, she left now, by
I
the
thought
way.
you said no. I know she did. I saw that. I was disappointed, and but at the same time, it was almost expected. I just felt like it was for a time, anyways, like a treat. Now that was to me that I never doubted that. Like it made sense,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But they seem pretty human too.
Yeah, they do. And in fact, their perspective on synchronicities was I was kind of taken aback by it, because they kind of gave like the official, what a doctor or somebody would say synchronicities are. You're seeing it because you're expecting to see it, but there were certain things, like my daughter was given this little plaque at her job that someone says, hey, you want a souvenir? And they handed it to her, and it's got 333 on it. She brings it to me. It's like, I wasn't expecting her to bring that to me. So I know I didn't see it because I was expecting it. So it didn't really fit. So I don't know. I think there's the wheat and the chaff, or the wheat and the tares, I should say. And I think, you know, there's always going to be some tares in there, and we need to be discerning no matter who the information's coming from. And if we trust it, if it's a trusted source, there could be some tares mixed in there that we need to be discerning about every single thing that we listen to. That's why I think, you know, I was saying jumping on board with something, I think it's better to just observe and not feel like you need to make a choice. Just say, that's interesting. I'll put it on the shelf, you know?
Right. Yeah, the only choice I know I'm making, to the best of my ability in that moment, will be love and what that means to me.
Right.
Because my actions of love may not be what someone else would be like, oh, that's love, you know. Example of when you love your children, you discipline them, but somebody may not agree with that discipline and think, oh, that wasn't loving, you know. So it's just the only power that I have is to do my best to choose love as I know it in that moment in time, because I certainly love completely differently than I did 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And when I wake up in the morning, I'll probably love even more differently with that new day. And that it makes life a lot easier, because, you know, even if you think of an alien, as scary as it would be, like, all I'm going to do is choose love even in that point.
Yeah, and love is like
I
the
mean, I
opposite
know
of fear.
I will scream. Well, I think it's a different kind of fear, don't you, than if you just take off running. That's being startled.
Right,
not necessarily fear.
Right, but I'm saying, like, if you, I know that, like,
because
say
that's
you're
what
looking
I'm gonna do.
Right, right. You're talking about going into the lower part of your brain, what they call the reptilian part of your brain, and kicking the fight or flight in, where you're like, oh my gosh, and you just take off running, like if a lion's chasing you or something. But I think in those moments when you can, like when we were at ESETI and we're like looking for Bigfoot, and you're kind of out there, it helped to be in groups, because if I was out there by myself, it would have been a completely different experience. But you're out there, you're feeling love, and you're with a group. You can be the brave one of the group. You're like, I'm out here with other people. I could be brave. I just got to outrun most of the people here, and I'll be fine. And I'm just playing, but I'm not a fast runner, by the way. I was just totally joking. But yeah, you know, showing love in that moment and not fear. So it's sort of like you can be sitting there like, oh my God, am I going to see something? Or you can be like, are you here? I love you. I want to, you know, and you're just sort of shining that love. I think that helps you get out of the fear in a moment like that. But yeah, that could flip like a switch in a moment if they're like, hey, I'm here. You're like, whoa, wait, I didn't mean for you to just pop in, you know.
Right. Or to say that a love would be not to attack or to kill them, or desire to be like, I declare war on this race I don't understand. You know, that would be fear to me, to act upon, you know, to hurt another. Because to say I can grasp how I'll react, you know, if one appeared, I do know that I think I know within myself, unless I saw one of them attacking a child or knowing that they were trying to hurt someone else, you know what I mean, out of protection, that would be a little different. But to be able to know, like, I don't mean you any harm, I'm afraid, you know, you look scary to me, whatever, they're going to read your mind anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no sense in BS, and they're going to read my mind and be like, oh my gosh, it's freaking me out, but I wish you no harm. That's why I'm running the other way. Don't chase me.
Yeah, and,
you know,
and you know, we're talking about aliens here, but you know, I've noticed when I'm out in nature meditating, I've had animals like deer kind of come up on me, and I was sort of, you know, I wasn't expecting them or whatever, and I was startled, but they weren't scared of me because they could sense that I was like, oh, a deer, and I was feeling love towards it, like, wow, a deer, and like in awe about it. And you could tell they like look at me, and then they kind of carry on. They're not like looking back, like, is he going to start coming after me? It's like, I don't know. I think our connections with the animals are getting stronger, and they can feel your intentions. They can feel the love you're showing, and you know, I don't know if they recognize guns and see I don't have one or something
even
either.
Spiders, even spiders need love, everyone. But it ain't me.
They can get love at the neighbor's house or in the backyard, or you know, down under the house.
I will not like send you to the light, you know, on purpose.
Right.
I wish you any harm, but I don't necessarily want you curling up in bed or going down my throat at night.
Oh gosh.
like they say, we swallow spiders, you know, in our sleep. Oh my gosh, never mind.
One crawls in your ear or something. What a way to end the show. You guys are like about ready to go to sleep. Who's drifting off to sleep listening right now and they're like dreaming about that? So, sorry guys. Hopefully you're wearing earbuds and you're protected. Dream you're wearing earbuds and they can't get in.
Yes.
So sorry.
Or if they are, they have I know, I think I'm getting flop happy now. But back to being fearful of the aliens, I guess. That to me is not having fear, is not wishing harm to any. Something I don't understand, even when it comes to new knowledge or, you know, a new religion or something outside that I don't understand, then I wish it no harm, or you know, you wish no harm. You love that person. You want to see them shine in their own light or their own experience.
Yeah.
That to me is love and not fear. And if the aliens come, then, you know, I'm open to hear what they have to say. But like you said, with discernment, you know, there will probably always be tares among the wheat because it keeps the contrast. We need that too.
Yeah. Raven Hawk is saying, I love spiders. My home is a refuge for them. But if all of our spiders came to your house, I don't know, you'd probably be, I don't know, maybe you'd be cool with it. I think disclosure would actually be better. Like if an alien appeared in my room next to me, that would startle me more than if, you know, I look at the news and it's like sort of like that show V, where it's this big craft in the sky and then it descends down and people come out. It would just feel a lot less scary because it wouldn't feel like you felt like you were alone in your home and one appeared to you. It would be like it's outside, it's somewhere else. You can go look, and I would go look for sure if it was in my city. I'd be like, oh my gosh, we got to go see. We got to go meet the aliens. I'd be way more accepting of something like that.
I would too, and then there's that certain part of my ego that would be like calling my friends up and said, I told you the whole time. I don't know what I told you. You know, like,
but they're going to be like,
they would all be coming to our house saying, you were right. How do you protect yourself from them? like I told you all, just start laughing and go real limp and stuff, and they'll leave you alone.
Right. Yeah. I'd even be
Right.
okay with inviting them
But,
over and stuff, at that point. But just to appear in my house would kind of freak me out.
Yeah, and I think that but then again, we hear about abductions and we think of our very own Eileen, and her. I mean, do you invite them somehow? Like, it almost seems like, well, no, it doesn't. My belief, it doesn't seem like it, but my belief that I am now is that there's no power over the power of the divinity within. And like even the demons had no power. Like, right? You still had that choice to choose love. And I feel that we have that on a cosmic level. It's almost, in my belief, it's a universal law. Only what I allow or give right to could come, or I would invite it in.
Right.
And maybe that's why you and I, Shane, haven't experienced some of the things others have. Because we really haven't opened it and said, yeah, we invite you to do this.
Right. I have in my backyard, but not in my room. I don't know. I feel better about meeting them in the backyard.
But really from your heart, though? Really from your heart? Like, really?
I don't know.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I've said things like, hello, spider, I want to be your friend. And when it wanted to jump on me and steal my body, I was like, I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah.
God knows our heart and, like, what we're really ready for. Or maybe not everyone even needs to, like I said, I believe they're there, it's no doubt. Like, it would not surprise me.
Right.
If we woke up tomorrow and there was a disclosure, it would not surprise me at all. It wouldn't change who I am or my belief because I already believe in them.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So why do we need that? I mean, I guess, are they coming here to, what's the point? That's what I would want to know. What's the point? Are you here to
I
do
always
what?
want the disclosure because of other people, not for myself. To be honest with you, I'm like, even you said that, It was like, finally you can call your friends because you already know. It's just them that are like, damn, what are you believing in aliens? You're crazy. And you're like, hey, finally you get to see I was right, But yeah, it's for the mass population that I think that disclosure would be important, because disclosure is actually here it came through on a session. Disclosure is here for anybody willing to look at it. There's enough proof to know that there's something going on. There's other beings that are out there. And then of course religion says they're all fallen angels and be scared of them and all that.
Well, some religions do, but the Bible doesn't. The Bible says there are extraterrestrials, there's celestial beings, there's the flesh of the fish, flesh of the man. It blows evolution out of the water, but it also does talk about the cosmic universe also.
Right, but even within Christianity, you have a lot of people that still say they're all fallen angels. I'm like, look, didn't it say that a third of...
I didn't know that.
Yeah, the third of the angels were fallen. That means there's 2-to-1, good over bad, Do the math,
Yeah. And then even with the fallen angels, I just feel like it was a misunderstanding in their perception of, of what love is and feeling. Maybe they felt like they couldn't use their full power, or, I don't know how they felt. But I know that I can look at my own life and see where I felt like I don't want to go by these rules of religion. I don't want to, you know what I mean? Felt like, to serve God, I got to be in this box, or to, so it's, to me, I have an open mind with that. But I do get what you're saying. A lot of people would think of them as evil, and that's going to be on every planet, everywhere.
Yeah.
But speaking of the awakening, I'm leaving maybe with this note. So I work at Citibank, and I love it. I am on an awesome team with these amazing people, and they're a younger generation for the most part. I'm probably, on our team, I'm definitely one of the oldest ones there. Oh, I can't believe I said it, but I did. It's true. But they treat me so well and helping me catch up with how everything works. But the funny thing is, like, the only one on our whole team that hadn't heard about the Mandela effect was my manager.
Really?
It's like common, it's common knowledge. And I'm like,
amazing.
hey, is anybody going to, the movie? I know. So get this, I walk in one day, and we had a new trainers coming into the floor, right? Well, on Mondays, I'm always there alone. Like, I'll come in at 9:30. None of my team members are there. Then want to come in at like 10:30, so I start off solo. I walk in, and I see all of my teammates, my manager, everybody there. And I'm like, what's going on? And my manager's name is Dusseldorf. He goes, you just slipped into another timeline, darling. That's how he talks.
Oh, my gosh.
But he was totally making a joke, right? But inside my mind, I'm like, oh, my God. It took me a minute to, shake it and get it. But it was because they wanted to all be there for the new hires, and the training, and everyone's schedules changed just for this short time. It was just hilarious when he said it. I thought it was the funniest thing.
I love that.
I know.
So it's happening, maybe not as fast as we'd like, but people are waking up, and for you to say that about everybody knowing about the Mandela effect, and then the movie's coming out, that's going to raise awareness, and so it's happening.
The one they mentioned was Bearstein Bears. They mentioned that one, Bearstein or Bearstein. They mentioned Jif or Jiffy. This is just like right off the top, just mentioning it. Like, right. Oh yeah, what did you think? What do you remember? What was this? And then they have, their different views on it. And it's this generation, and when I'm saying these children are probably in their 20s or, mid-20s. Mm-hmm. It's a common word among these, and maybe it's because of, they're very techy. They're into tech. That they're aware of it, but I told them about the movie, and I, of course, had to throw in that, I actually, there's a book, and I have friends who wrote it, by the way, and they're not surprised. They're like, it doesn't surprise me about you.
Well, how many of them would you say? How many of them would you say were like, oh, it's just false memories? Was that a big group of them?
None of them denied or even put it down in the sense. Actually, I was very surprised with that. Everyone had their own version, like, oh, the Jiffy peanut butter or the Jif or this. Mm-hmm. They had their thing, and like Dazarn was the only one that was like, what are you guys talking about? And he's a little bit younger than I am, and I'm like, oh, this is going to take a while, but let me just give you some direction. Just look it up, and then tell me what you think. Mm-hmm. But it was more of a. They thought there was some of quantum leaping. Others thought it was a glitch in reality, and what is the word I want to use? That it's all like this Matrix. Is all just a dream. In the Matrix, the Matrix. The holograms, and it was like talking to one of us. I'm sitting there thinking, I think I know something. I don't know nothing. These kids are going to teach me things. And, but it was, none of them said, oh, I don't believe it. They just said, I don't know why it is, but I know it's real for me, but I don't know why. We're all still at that same level of like, it's interesting, it's juicy, but why?
Right.
We don't know.
I find the younger people really don't have, it's the older people that are like kind of freaking out about it, but the younger people are, I guess, I don't know, raised on sci-fi movies that were a little more realistic than we experienced or something, but they're just more open to it. It's not that big of a deal to them. Even my own kids, they'll bring stuff to me, but it's not like this life-changing event for them. It's just like, oh, look at this changed. This used to be this, and now it's this, and it's like no big deal to them. It's not paradigm shifting for them. That? I just think that they're just more open-minded.
About it becoming, they're more open-minded, or is it
fearless?
That they're being
Jolie's saying
introduced to it, and it's kind of like the frog in the boiling water.
Right.
It's where you're getting cooked, you don't even know it. kind of thing. Not in a negative way. That means
Right.
the frog in the boiling water doesn't mean it's negative. I'm just saying it's like eased into it, just like the disclosure, just like we've, there's been aliens, talk of aliens for how long now?
Mm-hmm.
And then even, who would you have ever thought there would have been a whole show on cable, Ancient Aliens? Would you have ever?
No.
Like, Aunt Rosie and Uncle B would just freak out. I couldn't imagine us sitting down and watching something like that.
Yeah.
And now it's so common. It's
And I think if I came across it at a younger age, I was definitely more open to stuff like that. It's just only as you get older, you start to think, oh, that was childlike imagination. That kind of stuff doesn't really happen. And you kind of, I don't know, stop believing. It's kind of reminds me, what was the one Christmas movie where, if you hear the bell, it's, you don't believe in the magic anymore, but if you still believe in it, you can hear it. Do you know what I'm talking about? I only saw it once. It was some kind of Christmas movie.
But I remember there's a Christmas movie that when you hear a bell, another angel got their wings.
Oh, okay. No, this was like an indicator on whether or not you were still childlike enough to believe. It was all about believing in the magic of Christmas and in Santa Claus and all that good stuff. So I think we're just naturally, the younger we are, we're just more prone to believe in the magic of it all. And, it's just only as you get older.
A closer memory.
The Polar Express. I knew somebody would chime in with it. Thank you, Jolie.
But if you think about it, and not to mean this in any negative way, because some of my favorite people, choose a different alternative lifestyle. But now every movie you watch, almost every movie, or even every child's movie or something, that homosexuality is put into that, and it's so just commonplace now. But at one time, it was unacceptable by all means, no matter what.
Yeah, it was like unheard of.
People were killed. They were murdered for it, and now it's just I work with so many, and it's no big deal at all. No big deal at all, which it isn't to me anyways. I have no judgment and only love there anyways, but it's just the point. But how did that happen?
Yeah, just slowly over time. Right.
Just like the frog in boiling water. That's what I'm telling you. This whole the alien, and that's getting ready to come out because they've prepared us for this.
Well, I had an epiphany once with that whole thing where I realized that, with any kind of movement, there always seems to be the extremes of it, like things go overboard. But I was realizing how much religion came out against that, and alternative lifestyles and everything, and they pushed so hard on it that they actually created the over push back. You know what I mean? Like, I was thinking, this is what sort of came to me. I was like, if they were never treated any different, people with alternative lifestyles, they were able to freely live the way they wanted to live, there would be no need to have parades and all of these extreme things that seem so over the top for people, because they would have just been treated like normal people all the time. They would have had no reason to celebrate the end of their oppression, so to speak. You see what I'm saying? So it's almost like the people that were against it the most caused things to go way overboard. Like, every show's got to have somebody now, and every, you know what I mean? And it's like, it was actually caused by the opposition, caused it to be so overblown. If everybody was just loved the whole time, we wouldn't see what we see now. And that was a huge wake-up call for me. I'm like, wow. So it's like, really, I
love that.
Where the energy goes, the energy flows, as they say, and it's like they really put so much energy into it that they actually created what they, are still fighting against. It's actually funny when you think about it. I'm like, wow, if they just love, like Jesus taught, if they would just love, we wouldn't, have them pushing it on little kids and stuff like that.
But that's happening now too.
Yeah.
It's happening now, so it did what it needed to do. But that's so, I love that you said that. So don't feed it, just like,
just love people. It's real simple.
Yeah, you don't have to march for war or even march for peace.
Yeah.
You don't have to march for peace.
Yeah.
Because if you're at peace, you don't need to proclaim it. It just is.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When you have peace in your heart, it just is.
Right.
It's nothing that, that has to be proclaimed or fought for.
Mm-hmm.
It's just funny. How can you fight for peace?
Yeah.
I mean, it's exactly what you're saying now. Oh, it's so deep. I could just listen and go on all night with this.
I know. I guess we should probably. We're gonna get slap happy here.
Yeah, which is really fun because it's fun to get slap happy among your tribe.
Yeah.
It's good to compare, but seeing it all. Anytime I see something different or scripture pop out, I always think of you, brother, and just how open you are. Mm-hmm. And how much of the truth that you want to glean also. I love that. I love it,
Well, I appreciate you. You're the same way. That's what I love about this whole group, The people that aren't like that tend to leave pretty quickly.
Yeah. And that's okay. We love them too. They'll be back when they're ready. Because I remember all the things I would be horrified if someone said, and now I'm saying them.
Right.
I remember someone saying that to me, and I thought, "Oh my gosh, no way! Don't say there's no hell. It's going to open up and swallow you up." And no.
Exactly. Yep.
And now I look at it and I'm like, wow. So that I think it's things like that give you so much grace for everyone, And I learn something new every single day. Every single day there's something new. So how could I be stuck in one way? And you couldn't be open to learning all this great stuff.
Yeah.
I've
grown so much since I've become more open-minded to stuff, instead of thinking that, you're taught in Christianity or the way I was raised that you go dabble in that stuff, it's going to suck you into it and you're going to lose yourself and all this. And so there's so much fear put on exploring. And I mean, religion, as far as Christianity is the only religion I've ever been a part of. But at one point I got curious. I'm like, well, what do these people believe and what do these people believe? And I started really seeing commonalities between them. Like, well, that's not that much different, you know what I mean? And everybody's just trying to do what they feel is right, And then I started realizing, wow, if I was born in that, I would think that the Christians had it wrong and I had it right, and so on and so forth. So you realize that we're all just trying to do the best we can. And really, at the end of the day, love is primary. And we shouldn't divide over any of this other stuff.
That's what's going to win, whether it's whatever it is. Aliens, I mean, that's just what I hold on to. Because I know it's love wins.
Yeah.
I mean, it always wins. Always. Even when hate seems to triumph over love, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Because that triumph is never enough.
Mm-hmm.
And hate will keep going. Hate will keep going until it becomes love, and only then does it truly win. Because it's like, I want to hate you more, I want to hate you more, I want to hate you more. Well, like the example you just gave. With the alternative lifestyle. All that hate pushed it into now where it's accepted and preachers are, and everyone's accepted, And a lot of religions that were so against it now are accepting it. So there you go.
Yeah, but we wouldn't have had to go through that rough period, it's just, we could have taken a much easier path, but I guess everything works out the way it's supposed to,
We could have, and we probably are in another timeline, skipping through it, and that's probably why we're seeing a lot of these changes so quickly. Mm-hmm. Have you ever thought about that? Have you ever thought about our thoughts? Okay, the one that really got me was Sherry's the other night. What was it? The song about heaven, the word heaven in there. I used to trade out anytime a rock and roll song would have hell or something. I would always trade it out for heaven.
Could you hear heaven?
I would say, yeah, I heard it plain as day.
Yeah, that's amazing how you can hear that, and I think it's talking about bringing heaven to earth. That's what sort of popped in. There's T. Taylor. You popped in right at the very end, T.
Hey.
We were actually talking, another caller was talking about Tony earlier. Okay, so I guess we can draw this one to a close. I always appreciate you calling in. I love the Bible discussions, and nobody seems to mind. So I love it, though, because I spent my life in Christianity, and it's hard to talk to anybody in my family and have a discussion because they're trying to save me the whole time. It's like, can we just have a discussion about what it might mean? You know, it means you're going to hell. That's what it means. So.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. I know, and that shame and guilt, but then you're thinking, oh, no, I can't. I've got to believe that Jesus set me free from all that, you know. Mm-hmm. And that's the beauty of it, though. To me, like the Bible, all the books that I read outside the Bible, always brings me back to the Bible somehow. There'll be one thing, and I'll be like, oh, yeah, that was in the Bible. Oh, yeah, that was in the Bible.
Yeah,
you know,
me too.
It just makes it's so much bigger than what. I mean, I know you and I, it's always expanding, but a lot of people think, oh, Bible thumper. No, not really. It's cosmic. This is a cosmic handbook.
Yeah.
You know, it is.
Yeah, and for me, letting go of the doctrine and staying with the scriptures, many times I'll come across or have an epiphany about something. I'm like, oh, that's what the Bible means about this. You know, and I understand it a completely different way, something that was, you know, just a little, back to the wheat and the tares, you know what I mean? So many little distortions.
Back to the two men, the two ways, then you think of the double-minded man, and, you know, the two choices, love or fear, you know, there you go. It's just, I just haven't found any. I have expanded my knowledge on the Bible by reading other books, but it's almost like all my favorite books outside the Bible, there's something that, you know, it's about the Bible anyways. It's like, oh, that was in the Bible. That's right, like you said, that's what that means. Got it. All right, brother, I better let you get to sleep. I love you all.
I love you too. Thank you so much for chatting with me for so long. And love you guys in the chat. We'll see you tomorrow night with Eileen for the Power of 8 at 8.
Absolutely. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. If you'd like to support the work I do, go to paypal.me/UOTF. Thanks.